All right, so a big trade is about to set up on the SPY. You guys are all well aware the number one thing we're planning to do this week is to buy oversold dips. And the SPY just had a massive dip and it's beginning to bounce. So there could be an opportunity here for calls. I'm going to be doing an in-depth price action analysis on the SPY, doing a live trading session, preparing to make a trade here potentially on calls. So we're going to get straight into the overall analysis here on the SPY. As you can see, it is currently bouncing. We literally just bottomed, right, from a break and retest level. The SPY literally just bottomed right here. There was a break and retest level right here at 776, and it's currently bouncing multiple times with a little W pattern on the 1-minute chart, right? Now, if we look at the 30-minute chart, you're going to see previous day highs resistance has reacted as support. SPY had a massive breakout. It currently retested, trying to form some higher support here with a red green 30-minute trend reversal, right? It looks very similar to yesterday's pattern when the SPY had a break and retest and we bought the exact lows, then it began to bounce, right? So I'm likely just going to get in on a 776 call, and that has 3 points of upside potential. I'm likely going to get in on 776 calls soon and then just scale into the trade. And then I could potentially make another trade on calls too, as if it drops or even if it goes up. But, you know, everything's looking very bullish. So I'm probably going to get in on a trade here soon. Even the hourly chart is showing many signals. So, yeah, let's see. So 776 calls. Oh, they're cheap too. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to get in. The price is too cheap where I have to get in now. All right, so I'm in 776 SPY calls. I'm in at 104 cents. 104 cents. All right, so gonna be holding these calls, high probabilities. We're in towards the exact lows. In terms of, 7,755.50, high probabilities that the low of day is in. If the pattern that I'm seeing repeats itself, this can go to as high as 778 to 779, right? It can go in between that overall profit target range, right? So, going to be holding this trade. That's the game plan. And one of the number one reasons why I'm in on this trade is because of the 4-hour chart. If you guys looked at the 4-hour chart, this is very bullish. You can see right here, 4-hour bullish down, next 4 hours bullish green, retested the highs, right? 4-hour bullish down, and it's turning that previous 4-hour close right here into a clear floor support, and it's going to try to retest and gravitate back towards those highs, right? So today could be a very easy day for bulls. It seems like all they have to do is buy and hold at the dips, because this can have a very strong bullish recovery, and this can go to as high as 778 to 779. And the calls are just too cheap to pass up. This is one of those plays where it's not about waiting for the perfect confirmation. You get in now, right? And we could be in at the exact lows, right? So in terms of where we got in right here at the resistance. There's resistance at 77630. That's where we got in. The exact lows was at 775, 50s. So we're very close to the exact lows. And like I said, the price is too cheap to not get in. It's only 100 cents, and this can go up 3+ points. So, like I said, this is the type of trade where I feel like I can just comfortably hold this. I don't even have to watch it. There's so much more upside potential compared to the downside potential, you know? So, I feel extremely comfortable just holding this because I know there's a magnet at 778 and 779, right? And I know the contracts, even though I didn't get at the exact lows, right? I got in towards this resistance level, but still, that's a small channel. 77630 to 77550. So, I got in 80 cents higher, right, in terms of the SPY, but in terms of the price that I paid, even at a resistance, this seems like one of those no-brainer holding call opportunities. What I'm looking at is this appears to be the easiest and the safest trade for the entire week. This is the best setup at the best price, 100%. Everybody knows my game plan was to buy oversold dips. And if you look at what I did yesterday, I did the exact same thing. SPY had a resistance right here. It had a breakout. It had a retest, and then it started to bounce, right? I'm doing the same thing today. SPY had resistance right here. It had a breakout. It had a retest. This is a very big drop. We're talking about a drop from 779.30 all the way to 775.30. We're talking about a 4-point drop in just 90 minutes, right? And another reason why I think the trend can reverse here is, so just like yesterday, it's doing a break and retest, right? So we got all this resistance right here, resistance, resistance, breakout, retest, right? So we got a break and retest. It's hitting the floor. It's bouncing. It's trying to break out, right? Now, this is what caught my attention too. The 30-minute chart pattern, green, red, it dropped. Now look, it hits the retest level, red, green, it's trying to bounce, and it's clearly trying to form some higher support. So I do believe this red green right here, this red green, I think that could be the shift of the beginning of a trend reversal. You know, this has gotta, the low of day should be factored in between 12:30 to 1:30. Within the next hour, I think SPY has high probabilities, if it hasn't bottomed already, then to bottom within the next hour. And it has very limited downside, even if this hasn't bottomed yet, but it likely has. But basically, I'm convinced that, the low of day is likely, if it's not now, it's within the next hour, and it's already sitting at resistance. So there's not a lot of downside, even if the low of day hasn't hit yet, but it probably has. But basically, this is supposed to have some sort of major reversal. You know, it's supposed to basically bottom out between 12:30 to 1:30, and the contracts are too cheap where I just got to get in now. If this drops, I'm just going to buy another contract, and both of the contracts should print as long as we get the reversal. But this is a brilliant idea. This is an amazing idea. You have to be absolutely insane to not buy calls now. Even if it drops, you could just buy another strike. Both of them are going to come back to life. But bro, this is a no-brainer. What made it crystal clear to me, like I said, was the 4-hour chart. If you just looked at the 4-hour chart patterns, you would begin to see how the same thing is literally happening that happened right here. It's the same exact pattern. This pattern right here, 4-hour green down, next 4 hours was bullish, next 4 hours was bullish. 4-hour green down, it's turning the previous close into support, turning the previous close into support. 4-hour bullish, retest the highs. 4-hour bullish, retest the highs, right? And bro, the contracts were too fucking cheap. Where I'm sitting here saying, there's no way in fucks this isn't gonna work. It would be, there's just no way. Like, the prices on the contracts were so fucking, I couldn't believe they were that cheap. I'm saying they're only 100 cents. The trade was in the money. It was only 100 cents. And SPY has almost 4 points of upside from our fucking entry. I'm sitting here saying, dude, we're sitting on a fucking gold mine. Are you fucking kidding me? An in the money trade for only 100 cents, and the profit target can hit 779. I'm sitting here saying, dude, this is a fucking gold mine. I'm sitting here saying, man, I hope it fucking drops so I can buy another strike and add to the other one too. Fuck, it's probably not gonna, because it's just too good of a fucking deal. So that's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at. This is my trade for the day. You can clearly see I'm doing the same exact thing as yesterday. And you know what they say about history, it tends to repeat itself. That's why I'm in this game, because history, I can assure you guys, history definitely repeats itself, Everybody knows what's my game plan. The number one thing I was going to do this week is buy oversold dips. And I bought the lows yesterday. I nearly bought the lows today. I waited for more of a confirmation as I was watching this. So if you look at what I did today, I clearly waited for a 30-minute candle to close green, and then I got in at a higher price, you know, instead of trying to get in at the exact bottom towards this break and retest resistance with a red bearish candle. What I did was I waited for a flip. I said green, red at resistance, bearish drop, red, green at break and retest support, bullish spike, right? So that's why I'm in at a slightly higher price, is because, you know, like I said, I could have literally bought towards the lows of these dips. You know, there was a clear support channel right there. But instead of just jumping in there, I got in at the higher price because I waited for the 30-minute candle to close green instead of just, you know, buying into the pit of red. Sometimes I buy into the pit of red falling knives. Sometimes I wait for a green 30-minute close. That's why I got in at a higher price today, because the 30-minute candle closed green um at a higher resistance channel, you know? So confirmation came at a higher price. But if you ask me, I think we're sitting on a gold mine. I think this is gonna be one of the most brilliant trades of the entire week. Um, you know, I would personally love for this to crash here. I really would. As long as this is gonna reverse, I would actually prefer that this crashes here, because the contracts would be more decayed and more cheap, and then I can buy another strike, and then I can add to the winners on both the strikes, because I'm not going far out of the money. So if this shit crashes right now, it's not gonna matter at all. You know, I paid 100 cents and the price was at 77630. So for me to be green as fuck, all this has to go to a 777, right? So if you're asking me, I would actually prefer that this trade drops 50%, because then I can buy another strike and I can go even out of the money on that. And it's going to be a massive gain. And both of the trades would be wins. So, you know, there's certain trading situations where sometimes, you know, starting off with an L is a good thing, because it gives you an opportunity for a bigger W, and then the L comes back to life and goes green. I could give a fuck personally, whatever happens, as long as we get the reversal. It's pretty simple. You know, I'm sized in accordingly on this trade. If it reverses here, then, you know, just hold the trade. If it doesn't, just hold the trade, and then I'll look for an opportunity to you know, buy another strike, and then both of the trades, then instead of just one win, we can have two wins, and we can add to the wins, right? So this is obviously a good deal. You know, 776 calls at a fucking 100 cents. We're obviously sitting on a fucking gold mine. You know, like I said, the worst thing you can do in the current market we're in is to buy puts at support levels. You know, the previous day highs right here had a massive breakout. So the worst thing you can do is buy puts at an oversold support level. 100%. This is the absolute worst thing you can do, is buy puts um you know, at a support level. Like this right here, this was resistance yesterday, and I literally told people to look for puts at 774. I told them this is the level where you can look for puts, right? Now we're buying calls at that level, because I also told them if the market has a big breakout above a resistance level, which it did, and it drops back down to retest, we're going to look for the break and retest strategy. This is the best strategy in the game. If you guys aren't using the break and retest strategy, I would suggest you don't even trade. This is the best system on the fucking planet. I'm doing the same exact thing I did yesterday. Yesterday, the market had resistance at 772. It had a breakout. It retested. It nearly filled the gap. I used the gap close reversal trading strategy. I got into exact lows. Today, you know, I'm doing nearly the same thing. It's a different strategy. It's not a gap close reversal. Today it's a break and retest at a higher level, you know? But I really like how quickly this dropped. This dropped from 779 all the way to 775. You know, this dropped 4 points in a very short period of time. And we got 3.5 hours for this to begin to reverse. You know, so I really like this type of trade setup. I also like the confirmation. I like the red green on a 30-minute chart. I like how the previous day highs, it had a big breakout. Now it's retesting, trying to reverse and bounce, right? Trying to turn that into support, right? Um, but the 4 hour chart is what made this make the most sense to just jump into the trade at a resistance level, right? You guys know yesterday, for the people who jumped into the trades at the resistance on calls, they got crushed. You know, I told him this could be a good play for calls, but I'm not going to do it. And I explained to them why I'm not going to do it simply because, it's faked out 20 times and there's more downside than upside. It's basically a one-to-one risk reward, you know? That's why after I bought calls at the lows, I personally called it for the day because I realized there was no way I could make a better trade than that. And I also realized there was so much fake outs and resistance at the 773 level, and there was only 1 point of upside and 1 point of downside. So I'm sitting there saying, dude, what am I doing here? I'm not trying to flip a fucking coin for a one-to-one risk reward. So I cut it. I called the stream after that. But look, the 4 hour chart is really in terms of just jumping in, at a resistance level. The 30-minute chart gave me some sort of confirmation, red green reversal signal, but the 4 hour chart was the strongest reason to just get in even though we're at resistance. And like I said, the cheap price helped as well. If it's only 100 cents and this can go to 779, that's a good fucking deal. If something's a good deal, I'm more than willing to buy that at resistance. And it was oversold, and it's not too far off from the support. It's only an 80-cent difference in the SPY price. But like I said, this 4 hour chart, man, look, I think the SPY has a magnet. I think there's a clear floor. I think there's a clear magnet. I think there's a clear floor around this price, this previous resistance right here at 77450, and then all the support at 775, and now it's trying to break above 776, right? So I think we got a clear floor at this previous resistance, which is gonna, I mean, you guys can see what happens. Look, if it holds above this, right? If it holds above 774, all it's going to do is try to have a parabolic breakout like it did right here, and it's just going to try to gravitate back towards the wick. There's a wick at 779, right? That's all it's going to try to do is just keep, as long as the price is holding above 774, there's no reason for puts. All it's going to do is just try to keep on squeezing back up to hit the high of this wick, you know? That's all that's gonna do. Um, it's compression to the upside. But like I said, if you just look at the recent patterns, bro, every time the SPY formed a 4 hour wick like this and it started to form support towards that previous close of that 4 hour candle, you're gonna see it started to break out. Like, see, this is what caught my attention right here. It formed that same 4 hour type of candle, this wick right here. And look, the next 4 hour held the previous 4 hour close and it started to spike. You see what I'm saying? It's doing the same thing, gravitating back towards that high of the wick, right? At some point, these wicks have got to hit, you know? If it's not going to hit today, it's going to hit at some point. But, bro, everything is signaling that it's going to hit today. It's going to start to gravitate back towards the high of these wicks, right? And as long as the bulls are staying above this level, in this level, dude, there's no reason for puts. They're gonna get fucking destroyed. The puts are gonna get decayed. The puts are gonna get destroyed. There's no reason for puts. You'd have to be an absolute degenerate to buy puts on a break and retest in a bullish market. Like, dude, this is the same thing as yesterday. All of this resistance, massive breakout, retest. I told you the worst thing you can do in this market is to short the market and buy puts on a break and retest that's oversold. If SPY's going to instantly break out like crazy and then drop right back down, the worst thing you can do is buy puts, especially when it's already confirming a reversal. Look at what's going on. Look at the 30-minute chart. Look, they're forming higher support. I don't even have to look at the 1 minute. I don't even have to look at the 5 minute. I don't even have to look at the 10 minute, the 15 minute. Just by looking at this reaction, as long as it's just holding this level right here, this would be the level, right? Let's map this out. Dude, if we're holding this right here, if you're wondering, what would cause this to break out sooner than later? If it's holding that, this close right here, dude, it's gonna go parabolic. It's gonna go fucking nuts. If it just holds that line, this is gonna go insane. You know, it's gonna pop off sooner than later if it just holds that line. If you guys are wondering what the magic fucking line is, it's literally that line. Literally that line. That's like the fucking best fucking line in the whole market. That's the best level for the rest of the day. Is that level right there. That level is literally going to determine what happens for the short term. And if you look at what's going on, the bulls are clearly showing up. They're fucking the bears. So guys, at this point, I'm just gonna blast my fucking music, bro. This is a type of trade where it's gonna be a slow mover and then eventually it's gonna pop off. Bro, all we gotta do is hold. So I'll be back in a couple minutes, guys. All you got to do is hold 776 calls. I'll be back in a couple minutes, bro. There's nothing to do, bro. I don't even have to look at the other time frames. I'm seeing how this reacts. I just know. I know what it's gonna fucking do. I'll be back in a couple minutes, man. Oh my gosh, dude, they're fucking trapped. Oh my gosh, bro. Oh my gosh, bro. Bro. Bro, they are fucked on every level, dude. Look at this magnet, bro. Magnet's right there. Right eyes. They are fucked on every level. Oh my god, bro. If you guys know someone who's in on puts, I would strongly suggest you stay the fuck away from that person. Holy shit, bro. Imagine buying puts, bro. Do they not know who's in calls? Do they not know who's in calls? Imagine being puts. Oh man. Oh man. 3 hours of upside, bro. 3 hours of upside. Oh man. Bro, people gonna learn today, bro. They didn't learn yesterday. They're gonna learn today. Oh man. They're gonna learn today, bro. It's gonna be fucking great. Oh man. Buy those motherfucking calls up, bro. Buy them up. Buy those motherfucking calls up. Look at that upside, bro. Look at that upside. Look at that upside. Bro. Guys, just do whatever you want. You don't even have to watch the chart, bro. Just do whatever you want. The cards are already dealt. The deal is already sealed. The deal is sealed. Just do what you want, man. Just buy calls. Deal is sealed. Oh my gosh, bro. I'm just gonna listen to music for like 3 fucking hours, dude. That's all I'm gonna do. And just watch this shit go up. Fucking crazy. Look at this. Bro. Oh my gosh. All they gotta do is buy calls. That's it. Let's buy some calls. 776 calls, bro. That's all they gotta do. Buy those fucking calls. I'm just holding a trade, bro. Green as fuck. Holding a trade. Holding a trade, bro. Oh my gosh, bro. This market is fucking amazing. This is crazy, bro. This is amazing. I don't even have to watch the charts. The deal's already done. I don't even have to look at the chart. It's fucking amazing, bro. It's fucking amazing. Don't even have to be here, dude. I could walk away, come back in an hour or two. This shit's gonna go up like crazy. This is insane, bro. People wonder why I don't stream. I'm like, dude, I don't even have to be here. I don't even have to fucking be. I could just go on my fucking phone and just fuck off and do whatever. Like, I don't even have to be here. That's how simple this is. Dude, this is going to 778 without a doubt. 778. You know? Bro, you guys don't even have to be here. Look at this. You can set an alert below that, set an alert above that, and just walk the fuck away. You don't even have to look at this. This shit is already fucking determined, man. Look at that. That's so fucking bullish. Oh my gosh, bro. It's crazy. They don't even have to be here. They could set an alert right here, at or above, and they could set an alert right here, at or below, and then make a decision when the alert hits. They don't even have to watch this, bro. This trade, guys, you don't even have to watch this trade. Just hold the trade, bro. Hold the trade. You guys know what time of day it is, you know? This is the time of day where you gotta hold the trades. That's what this time of day is. Hold the trade, bro. Look at this. It's all bullish. Look. Green down, green up. Bro, look. Green, red, green. Breakout, retest. Green down, green up. That's the most bullish breakout pattern you can get. It doesn't get more bullish than this. Look at the trend reversal. It's the same thing as yesterday. Same shit is happening. Same shit, new day. You know? People wonder why I don't show up. I'm like, dude, it's the same thing every day. Turn your fucking brains on. It's the same shit every day. Every single day. It's the same fucking thing. It's the same thing every day. Some people want to do different things. It's the same thing every day. Same fucking shit. It's gonna go up. The price is gonna go higher. Send alert. Fuck. Holy shit, man. Look at this. This is genius. This is a genius trade. Most genius trade you'll see all day is this trade right here. That's fucking genius. Look at that. They can't even go back to my entry. Why would I sell? They can't even drop it. They're fucking stuck at the highs. They're fucked. Bears are looking pretty weak now, you know? Pretty weak on the Bears, bro. I bought some more VGT today, bro. I saw VGT was breaking out. I said, you know what? I'm gonna buy more. I'm gonna buy more VGT. Bought some more VGT today, bro. Giving people the keys to get rich. No excuse. No excuse to be red, you know? All they had to do was buy the calls. All they had to do was buy the calls. That's it. Just buy the calls. I'm telling you, bro. Just buy the fucking calls. Exactly. That's all you have to do. All they had to do was buy the calls. That's it. Just buy the calls. Look. Look, the price is stuck at the resistance. You know what that means? That means it's gonna go up like fucking crazy. That's what it means. It means this shit is gonna squeeze to the fucking stratosphere. You know? If you guys want to set your money on fire, just buy puts. You can legally burn your money. Just buy puts. It's legal. It's totally legal to burn your money if you buy puts. It's legal to do it that way. You don't want to listen? Stay broke for life. Stay broke for life. Household play. Household name, household play. Household name, household play. You don't want to listen? Stay broke for life. It's the best fucking trade of the week. I'm showing them the best trade of the fucking week. On my name, on my curriculum. That's the best trade of the fucking week. Right in front of your fucking face. Right here, right now. Live. Real time. What's the excuse to work a job? What's the excuse to be red? It's right in front of your fucking face. The real fucking deal has arrived. It's right in your face. What is the reason to be red? What's the fucking reason? What are they gonna say now? Oh, the calls didn't go up enough. Hold the fucking calls. They'll go up a fuck ton. The fuck are they gonna say? Fucking people. Buy and hold the calls. You can walk away for an hour. It's gonna go higher. You don't even have to look at the trade, bro. You don't even have to look at the trade. You don't have to look at the trade. This shit is fucking crazy. Look at this. Dude, whenever SPY gets stuck like that, it squeezes. Do you guys understand how bullish this is? You'd have to be incompetent to not be buying calls right now. You really would. You have to be an absolute fucking degenerate to not be in calls right now. It's sitting at the fucking highs. Bullish as fuck. This is gonna run. This is gonna fucking run, bro. Look at that. That's bullish as fuck. Look. Look at this. Green down, green up. Green up, it dropped. Green down, green up. It's gonna fucking run. They're gonna run this to the fucking stratosphere. Losing's a fucking choice. I gave him the blueprint. I told him I gave him the blueprint. I handed it right to them. Directly to them. Receipt. Fuck, man. You know? Right fucking to them. Handed it right to them. Bro, I'm sitting on these calls, man. Sitting on these motherfucking calls. Sitting on these calls. If anyone wants to short the market, bet against me. Go ahead. I'm sitting on a motherfucking gold mine in this motherfucker. I'm holding these calls. I'm sitting on a fucking gold mine on these calls. Yeah. Getting rich as fuck. Fuck them. They don't want to listen. Stay broke for life. for life. Working 9 to 5 for life. They don't want to listen. Fuck them. They don't want to listen. Fuck them. Fuck them all. They want to stay broke. Fuck them all. Look at that. Oh my gosh. My frequency is fucking crazy right now, bro. Oh my fucking goodness. Bro. Oh my goodness. Fucking popping off, bro. Shit is fucking crazy. Why would I sell? It's working. Everything is working. Why sell now? Hold it longer. Hold it longer. Hold it. Fuck them. Fuck them all. Oh my goodness. Bro, the amount of fucking energy. It's so much fucking energy, bro. The type of energy where you'll never drink coffee again. You'll never drink matcha again. You'll never have an energy drink again. So much fucking energy, bro. Raw frequency. Oh my goodness. This is insane, bro. This is insane. The only thing that could weigh me down right now is a coffee, a matcha, an energy drink. All that bullshit could weigh me down right now. Fuck all that shit. I'm on some raw fucking frequency fucking energy shit. The type of fucking frequency that people want to be on, bro. Look at this. Look at 777. 777. 3 hours on the shot clock. 777. We got a magnet at 778 and 779. Who's holding calls? Yeah. Who I am. Back in high school. Oh my gosh, bro. The music is fucking... Dude, it's the type of energy where I could smash my phone, and then I would expect someone to just give me another phone. Just hand me the phone. Bro, oh my gosh, this energy is fucking insane. Oh my fucking gosh, bro. I try to tell him, bro. I told him, listen, motherfuckers, I have a system. I'm gonna turn on this stream when there's money to be made. When there's money to be made, the stream's on. I'm not gonna stream here and say, all right, guys, this is why I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to sit here for hours, bitch, wanting to play. I'm not doing anything, guys. Nah, I'm going to turn on that motherfucking stream when there's an opportunity. When there's an airdrop to come in and get rich, I'm the motherfucker who shows up and presents the opportunity. If you want to take it, you take it. If you want to disagree, you disagree. If you don't want to take it, then sit out of it. But I'm going to educate people. I'm going to show them. I'm going to say, listen, this is why I turned on the live stream. This is the play that I'm seeing. This is why I'm in on the trade. You know, I don't want to sit on a stream when there's no play. Fuck that. Fuck that. Why would I want to be on a stream when there's no money to be made? Fuck that. I want to be on stream when there's a fucking play to be made. A systematic system. I turn on a button. I present the opportunity and it fucking works. You know? People say, why don't you go on a schedule? Why don't you go on a schedule? Why don't you show up every day at the same time? I'm like, what's the fun in that? I want to show up when it's time to get rich. That's when I want to show up. I don't want to sit here and say, oh, this is why I'm not doing anything. This is why I'm not in a trade. Oh, this guy doesn't even make a trade. He sits on a fucking stream for 4 hours, no trade. I'm sitting here saying, bro, I'm here to show up when there's a fucking trade to be made. Fuck all that other shit. The fuck? I can glance on my fucking phone, look for a trading opportunity as soon as I fucking see it. Instead of alerting it in a fucking Telegram channel, I could show up on stream and present the opportunity. I'd rather do that than sit on a stream when there's no trade. Why would I want to sit on a stream when there's no trade? It doesn't make any sense. Why would I want to do that? I'm going to educate people on why I'm doing nothing? What's the fun in that? I'd rather educate them on why I'm doing something. Teach them the fucking system. The fuck? I'm not here to waste my time, sit on hours for a fucking stream, say in a trade, all right, guys, I'm going to show up every single day at the same time. This is why I'm not in a trade. The fuck? Dude, I'm here to show up when it's time to get rich. Fuck all that other shit. Fuck you think this is? This is 2026. The fuck? Fuck a schedule. I look at my fucking phone. I say, is the trade here? Did the level hit? All right, is it time to stream? Is the money there? The fuck? I'm trying to airdrop fucking money into people's bank accounts. I'm not trying to sit here and say, all right, guys, let's sit here for fucking 2 hours and I'm going to explain to you why I'm not doing anything. Here's why I'm doing nothing right now. Because there's no fucking trade. Here's why there's no trade. Because the market's shit. And we can all just bitch and whine and complain together? Fuck that. I'm here to show up on the best setup and the best price presents itself. That's when I'm here to show up. Fuck all that other shit. The fuck? I could just show up when there's a trade. Why would I show up before on a schedule? What kind of trader uses a schedule? You think the best setups at the best prices are fucking scheduled? The fuck? This shit randomly goes up, randomly goes down. You have to know the price. You have to know the setup. It happens at random times. It's not a fucking schedule. The fuck do these people think this shit is? A fucking schedule. Fuck a schedule. A schedule's for fucking brokies. Oh, fucking brokies, bro. I'm sitting here for hours and explaining to, all right, guys, this is what the best setup looks like. It's clearly not here. So let's just talk about it for hours and wait for it to get here. No, I'll just show up when it's here. Every single motherfucking time. I'll show up when it's fucking here. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing live stream alerts. Whenever I see a trade, I'll be on the motherfucking stream presenting the opportunity instead of sitting here when there's no trade to be made. I'm not trying to educate people on why I'm not doing anything. I'm trying to educate them. Look, this is the fucking play. This is what we do. Do this. Fuck everything else. Do whatever you want whenever there's something else to do. The fuck? Fuck all that other shit. Everything's fucking green. What's their excuse now? Oh, I bought a put. I'm red. What's their fucking excuse now? The fuck? You know? Fucking all people do is... Dude, it's I looked at my stream yesterday. I bought calls at the low. They were all crying. I'm like, what the fuck? Did I not buy the call at the low? Fucking shit, man. Fucking crazy. Green every fucking day, man. What's the fucking reason now? All these broke ass fucking hating ass fucking bitching riding fucking complain. You know what? I figured the best thing I can do is just show up when there's a win. You know? They're gonna fucking know. They'll know then. Just show up when there's a fucking win. Every single time we're gonna be fucking green. They're gonna know, oh bro, every time this guy turns on his live stream, he's green. Yet people still work a 9 to 5. Well, they must like being slaves. I don't know. They must like being a fucking slave. The price went up. Guys, I didn't get into the exact lows, guys. Guys, look. Guys, look. I didn't get in right here. Look, I didn't buy it right here at the exact lows like yesterday. Look. I bought it at the most perfect fucking time. You know? Ain't that some shit, bro? Wow. Let's see. What did I do yesterday? Oh, look. Yesterday, I bought at the exact lows of the dip. And then I said there was an opportunity to buy calls here, and I said I'm not going to take it. You know? At the resistance, and then look, it fucking collapsed. Oh, let's see. What did I do today? Oh, today I bought at the resistance. You see the resistance? Oh, yeah. You see the resistance, guys? Look. All this resistance is 77630. Yeah, you see all the resistance? Oh, I bought at the resistance today. It was the exact fucking lows. Ain't that something, bro? Ain't that something? Yeah, people wonder why I don't show up. Because this shit's worth a fucking $1 trillion. The fuck? This is worth $1 trillion. You motherfuckers just wait. This shit's gonna be private and exclusive soon. It's gonna be worth a fuck ton. Prices is going up. I told them to buy VGT. They want to stay broke? Stay fucking broke. I told them to hold calls. I never said sell. I told them hold. What's their excuse now? That's what I'm saying, bro. What the fuck is their excuse now? The fuck? Fucking A, man. If they're not rich, stay broke for life. I give them the fucking blueprint. Today I buy calls to the resistance. It's the exact lows. It's the exact fucking lows. What is the excuse now? You know, I didn't do it yesterday. I bought calls the exact lows yesterday at the fucking dip. And then I sat out at the fucking resistance. Oh, man. It's just too fucking easy, bro. It's just too easy. But yeah, I was thinking about that yesterday. I was like, do I want to listen to these degenerates telling me to show up on a schedule? Do I want to listen to them? Or do I want to show up when the best setup at the best price presents itself? And every single time it presents itself, I turn on the stream, I present the opportunity, and I trade it live. And I'm sitting here saying, bro, I'd rather do that. I'd rather trade a system instead of a schedule. I'm not trying to trade a schedule, bro. I'm trying to trade a system. You understand? That's the fucking difference. I ain't trying to trade a schedule. I'm not trying to say, oh, I'll be a good person and I'll show up at 9:30 every single day with a suit and fucking tie. And I'll try my best. And like, fuck all that. I'm here to trade the best setups at the best prices. You know, if people don't want to show up at the random times and make money and have notifications on, then stay broke, dude. Stay fucking broke. You know, I'm not going to chain myself to a stream when there's no trade. I got shit to do. You know, I'm not going to sit on a fucking stream and tell people this is why I'm doing nothing. No, I'm going to sit on a stream and tell them this is why I'm doing something. The fuck? I'm not here to be on a stream when there's nothing to do. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to sit here and say, all right, guys, We did nothing for 3 hours because the market was shit. No, fuck all that. I'll show up when the market's good. You know, if anyone thinks that's the problem, then stay broke for life. Fuck them. They don't want to join the group, then don't join the group. You know, I could just write some shit in the fucking chat and just tell them to buy the alert. I could do that. No, I actually present the fucking opportunity. If they agree with it, they take it. If they don't, they can go against it. If they don't want to trade it, then don't fucking trade it. You don't have to enter every fucking trade I make. I did a clear representation of what this trade was. That's what I do, you know? I trade when there's a trade to be made. You know, that's what I'm saying. Imagine the fucking discipline that will instill and teach everyone if I only show up when there's a trade instead of sitting here on a stream when there's no fucking trade. What am I gonna do? Sit here for hours and say, guys, the market shit. This is why I'm doing nothing because look, it's retard. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Waste my time and energy? I can literally set a price alert at the best price, wait for a confirmation, go on the fucking stream, do this once or twice a day for fucking 1 to 2 hours, and every single time it's gonna fucking work. Losing's a fucking choice, man. All these people with this idea of, oh, let's have a schedule and show up for the market. Nope, they're all degenerates. Show up for the best price at the best setup. Fuck the market. That's what I say. Fuck the whole market. Show up at the best setup. Show up at the best price. You know? If you guys show up at a schedule, you're more likely to do something fucking degenerate and you're more likely to waste your fucking time. If my job was to only show up here at the best setup at the best price, that would mean that A, I'm not wasting time. B, I'm only trading the best setups at the best prices. So that's what the fuck it takes. You guys want to be fucking good? Do that. Create a fucking system, bro. My system, it's the best setup at the best price, which means there is no fucking schedule. There is no schedule. Nobody knows when it's going to happen. When it happens, I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll get the alert. I'll know the price. I will be there when it happens. Nobody knows when the fuck is it going to happen. What am I? I'm going to sit on a stream and predict when it's going to happen? All right, guys, the chart says the best setup might hit in 2 hours. No, fuck all that. When it's here, I'll show up. When it's time to get rich, I'll be here. When it's time to do nothing, I will not be here. I will disappear. You will not see me. I will be gone. You'll be wondering where I went. I will not be here. I will be here when there's a best setup at a best price. It's a system that works. Make sure you guys trim some. Trim some here. Trim some here. Trim some here. You can take some gains here. If you want to leave the rest for 778, leave the rest for 778. It makes sense to trim some here because there's 3 hours left and the market could drop before going higher and decay is a real thing. So like I said, trim, 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 trim. Make sure you're taking some gains. Trim, 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 trim. All right, great. Everybody took some profit off there. Amazing. Right? So that's what this is, man. Make sure you guys taking some gains. Do not flip green to red. You know, what happens with the market is, look, there's 3 hours left. It might not go to 779. It might go to 778, which means if it only goes to 778, this can drop $1 and then it can go higher. It could do that. So if it drops, you can make another trade, right? If you just hold this, you're not going to be able to make another trade unless you want to take that risk. But bro, just make sure you guys trim some and then hold some because this is a hold. We should hit 778. You just have to understand we're talking about a 80-cent gap there, right? And we got 3 hours left. So if it drops first, you're going to get back your fucking gains and then you're going to want to get back in on the trade. So instead, take some profits, and then if it drops, you can make another trade or add back to it, right? So like I said, man, make sure you guys are trimming. Make sure you guys are taking profits. Take some profits, trim, take some profits. Do not flip green to red. Do not be a fucking degenerate, all right? The trade worked, and there's levels to trades working. You know, just because we have a profit target at 778 to 779 doesn't mean it's going to hit, but the trade had a massive spike. So do not be a fucking degenerate and do not get back all your fucking gains. There you go. So make sure you guys are taking some gains. Oh my goodness, bro. And make sure you're holding some. You're supposed to hold on this trade 100%. Just don't go taking a risk where you're risking all the fucking gains. It's as simple as that, bro. Simple as that. But yeah, bro. That's the shit that I'm fucking doing, bro. That's the shit that I'm doing, you know? I'm doing a system. I'm on a system, bro. I'm making my whole life a system. I'm not guys, make sure you're holding this. This is bullshit as fuck. You know, when I say trim, you take like 30%. 30, 35%. You know, we're holding this. But look, Everything's bullish as fuck. If you guys are red, that's all you, bro. Look at this. Look at how bullish the 30-minute is. Look at this. Everything's bullish. That's what I'm saying. I show up, I get people rich. That's my job. I show up, I make them all rich, you know? I'm not here to show up when there's nothing to do because I have things to do. That's fucking why. You know, I'm not going to show up on a stream and say, oh, there's nothing to do, guys. Let me educate you on why there's nothing to do. That's valuable. I get it. But I'm not here to do that, bro. I'm here to get you guys rich. I'm here to get you guys rich and educate you when it's time for things to do. You know, there can be other lessons on when there's times not to do things. I'm not going to waste my time on a stream when there's nothing to do. When there's a trade, there's a trade. I'll go on a stream. It's as simple as that. There is no fucking schedule. The best setups at the best prices are not scheduled. Sometimes they're at 10 a.m., sometimes they're at 11 a.m., sometimes they're at 12 p.m. There is no fucking schedule for that. Usually 10 to 12, somewhere in between there, 10 to 12. You know, but I'm not going to sit on a stream and just waste my time. Within those hours, I could do something far better than just explain to people why I'm not doing anything. It's so fucking degenerate, you know? I have a system. I present the opportunity. If you guys want to take it, you take it. If you don't want to take it, then don't take it, bro. It's as simple as that, you know? Buying calls the resistance in at the exact fucking lows. I don't know anyone on the fucking planet who's trading like this. I don't. I don't see anyone buying the calls at the lows. I just don't see people doing it like this. They just don't get it, you know? They just really don't get it. I do the same thing I did yesterday. The only thing I did different was I waited for a green confirmation, which got me in at a higher price. If I would have just dove in at the break and retest level, I would have been up more, you know? I waited for a 30-minute green candle and I looked at the flip, green, red, sell off, red, green, spike, said this is all bullish, you know? So if you guys are red, I don't know what the fuck to tell you, dude. I really don't. I'm there's loss for words. Look at how bullish that looks. Look, it's just bro, it's gonna do this. This is gonna do this. It's literally gonna do this, bro. People say this shit's not predict. I'm like, bro, it's just the same shit every day. Like all it's gonna do is just want to go higher. It's just gonna want to do that. It's just gonna do some shit like that. That's all it's gonna do. So if you guys are red, that's all you. You know, 100%, 100%. Oh my goodness, bro. These fucking trades are fucking cracked, man. This fucking shit is ridiculous. But yeah, man, we're all in on these fucking calls, bro. This shit is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Nah, bro. Schedules are for brokies. Don't use schedules. Fuck them. Use systems, bro. Use systems. You know? You guys don't have to watch this all day. You just need price alerts and take glances at 30-minute candle closes. You know? Simple as that. Just wait for candles to close. You guys don't even have to watch the candles. Just wait for them to close. It does help if you watch. It does. You don't have to do it though. It's not required. It helps if you watch. But one thing, bro, if you guys have no discipline, you're better off not watching, bro. If you've no fucking discipline, dude, you're better off just fucking send alerts. I'm telling you, bro. Some people watch shit and they make stupid fucking trades watching it all day. They have no fucking discipline. I just don't want to waste my time. That's what it is for me. I don't want to sit on stream for hours and just waste my time, bro. I want to be on a stream when there's a trade, you know? Like an airdrop stream. This guy just airdrops knowledge and money into people's fucking bank accounts. That's the stream I want to be on. I don't want to be on a I'm going to educate people for hours on why I'm doing nothing. I don't want to do that. That's like that's depressing. Like fuck that. That's just negative. I know, you know, it's educational and people like that, but I just want to show up when the best setup at the best price is. you know? And you don't have to watch the market to do that. You really don't. It helps. It helps with the trading if you watch the market. But if you guys have no discipline, it's not gonna help you. But yeah, man, this is I'm telling you, man. If you guys holding those calls, we fucking killed this. Fucking, it's the best. I told him it's the best trade of the week. Told him best trade of the fucking week. Same shit as yesterday. You know, telling you guys, dude, create a system and have a schedule with the system. You know, but with my system, it's not much of a schedule. It's really not. It's more of just waiting for things. It's just patience. It's just waiting for a price alert to trigger at a certain level. Or you know, whenever the market has a big move. You know, I don't have to watch the market to see it on a big move. I could just set alerts. You know, I looked at the market, I said, bro, this shit just dropped 4 points. And then I said, well, there's obviously a break and retest trade right here. And then I looked at the chart and I said, well, it's confirmed. I should get in. Simple as that. Like, oh, damn, bro. Damn, that's crazy. That's crazy, bro. Shit, that's crazy. Yeah. Damn, bro. Let's see. How much is that? Oh my gosh, bro. Bro. Dude, I'm up a fuck ton, bro. Oh my gosh, bro. Fucking VGT, bro. Damn, bro. I'm looking at this. I feel like the price is at 180, bro. The market's just catching up to me, bro. It's just catching up to me, bro. 180, bro. The price is 120. I'm looking at this ETF. I'm like, bro, this is 180 to me. I'm looking at a 180 price tag, man. Fuck, dude. Oh man, shout out to never being broke again. Oh my gosh, bro. Fucking looking at a 180 price tag, bro. Fuck it. Just buy thousands and thousands of shares, bro. Just fucking. Oh man, bro. Fuck it. You know, just buy tens of thousands. Oh man, bro. Dude, I'm looking at this VGT right now, bro. It's giving me some 180, bro. Price on this is like $180 right now. This shit is crazy, bro. 180, bro. Fucking, bro, I told him Oracle. Try to tell him, bro. Oracle, man. This hit 160 today almost. Bro, this is a fucking cash fucking machine. Fucking Oracle. Oh man, this was just 250, bro. Just at 250. It's fucking crazy, bro. What is SpaceX at? Did this hit 150s yet? Yep, touched 150. Damn. It's up 50% in a couple days. Great. Oh man, bro, there's just too much opportunity, guys. When you trade this good, you gotta roll those profits into all these amazing stocks, you know? 100%. Damn, bro. Man, let's see, what are these contracts at? We got in at 104 cents. You know, right at the money. Don't even have to go far out of the money. Let's see, what are our contracts at? It's fucking yeah, but we're the first to get in. You know, we're the first to get in on these calls. Other people, they get in later. We're the first ones to get in on this shit. It's crazy. Like, let's see, bro. Let's see. Fucking spy. Fucking. Let's see. 104 cents. Oh my gosh, bro. They're so deep in the money. I gotta change my fucking strikes. There we go. Let's see. What's our fucking trade at? Green as fuck. Green as fuck. 776 calls are up 50%, bro. 50 fucking percent. Yep. This move right here, guys. That's a 50% return on your investment. 50%. We got in right here at the exact low. The trade never dropped. And as you can see, we bought this trade at resistance. You know, resistance, resistance, resistance. We bought at resistance, and it just went straight up 50%. You know, and it's trying its best to get to 100. It really is. It's trying its best to get to 100%. Oh man, I'm already at 50% though. What's it matter if it gets to 100 or not? You know, already green as fuck. Oh my goodness, bro. Just giving them free fucking airdrops, bro. Shit is crazy. 50 fucking percent, dude. 50 fucking percent. I told him we're sitting on a gold mine. You know, literally said, bro, we're sitting on a gold mine. Try to tell him, man. Try to tell him. I said we're sitting on a gold mine. They didn't want to listen. What'd they do? Did they buy Blitz? They either bought Blitz or they bought the calls, they ate the steak, or they just watched the stream. I'm like, bro, if this was entertainment, I wouldn't be trading. The fuck? This isn't entertainment. This is a get fucking people rich. The fuck? Oh man, shit's wild, bro. Oh man, here we go. Oh, here comes the Deegan. Oh man, market's getting a little Deegan. Here we go. Oh man, you guys know how it is. You know, sometimes something's got to be up 50% and then drop 30%, then to go to 100. You guys know how this holding shit is. I mean, we had a good, you know, it was good. We went from 776 to 7740. We had a good run. You know, this went straight up for $1.40. We had a good run. Um, you know, in terms of profit stops and risk, you guys can keep that around, you know, right around, we'll draw some levels of risk. There you go. So that's a level of risk. Um, that's a level of risk. Bro, what the fuck? Oh my gosh, I don't want that. I want this. There we go. That's a level of risk. And then we'll do one more levels of risk, right? You guys know the risk of holding for bigger gains. You guys know sometimes the market goes straight up, sometimes it comes back down, then it goes higher, sometimes it goes green to red. There you go. Those are the levels of risk. There you go. Let's see. Maybe it'll bottom at what I drew. This is what I drew. With the drawing, with the beautiful art that I made, you know, I drew that. So maybe this will be the bottom. You know, that's what I drew. I said it's the bottom right there. Go higher. So we'll see. You know, we will see. It should go higher. It's just, you know, they might want to drop it a little and then go higher. You know how it is. Sometimes you gotta be up 50%, hold, and then give back 30% to be up 100%. You know, and some people don't want to take that risk. They'll sell, leave runners, make another trade, add to the trade, right? You know, sometimes the market goes straight up. Sometimes profit stops never get hit. We all know the levels of risk, man. You know, level of risk, level of risk, level of risk, right? You guys decide what you want to do. You know, obviously the trade's going to take more of a hit when it goes below this. You know, it's going to start to take a hit when it goes below that. It should bottom here. This should be a strong bounce level at 77630. You know, obviously it's going to be a bitch to hold through this drop right here if it goes below this, because you know one of the strikes would go out of the money and the trade would start to take a hit. That's why. Um, but we all know, you know, this is a lot of peak resistance, right? Which is why I said to trim and take profits, you know? So guys, just don't be a degenerate. It's not that hard, you know? There's levels in price action. Just don't be a degenerate. Trim into the spikes, hold the runners, you know? Set profit stops, move up the profit stop higher. You know, you can have a profit stop. You can have a profit stop right here. If you want to take that risk at 77650, you can have it at 70. If you want to keep it really tight, You can have it at like 80, you know? Sometimes the market will, sometimes it'll bottom here and then go higher. Sometimes it will bottom here and go higher. Welcome to the stock market, you know? It should go higher. It's just, sometimes it drops to a lower bracket and then go higher rather than bottoming at a higher bracket. Obviously, you can look at the chart and confirm that, but even that doesn't work all the time. So, you guys get what I'm saying, If you want to hold for bigger wins, you got to take the risk. So, whatever risk in these levels that you're comfortable with, you can take that. You know what I mean? I'm holding the trade. Um, I have, if you're wondering how much I have left, I have 60%. I have 60% of my position left. I do recommend, people should be trimming at the resistance here. And then you guys decide if you want to, risk that, risk that, risk that, you know? But trading, there's risk. You guys want to hold for bigger gains? Well, you got to take the risk, you know? Simple as that. Simple as that. But yeah, we will see, man. It has high probabilities of going up 100%. Um, you know? But you guys know how the market is. It's a bitch. It's a slow burning, you know what I mean? I mean, we're at a time of day where it doesn't just go straight up. It chops, consolidates, brackets, you know? We had our fun, It went up $1.50, 50% return. We had our fun. It should try to go higher, but, you know, there's risk in doing that. So just don't flip red, guys. Just don't be a degenerate. It's not hard. Just manage your risk, you know? Cups with the ice, and we do this every day. But yeah, when the market gets stagnant like this and I'm already green, bro, this is when I hate to hold, you know? I'm more of like, I milk it as much as I can, and then when it starts to die out, I usually like to get out because of decay and the risk of doing that. That's why. It's like I might have to hold through a 30 to 40% drop for this to go up another 50%. Like I don't like dealing with that. That's why the market's a bitch and that's why I tell people to sell into spikes because like if it goes below this, I'm gonna want to sell more and I could have just sold into the spikes, I already sold some into the spikes, but I could have just sold more. Guys, I'm gonna sell some more here. I'm selling some more here, selling some more here. Let's see. All right, exiting more here. All right, so I got 40% left. 40% of my position left. Like I said, bro, this is the bitch of holding. That's why I tell people to sell into spikes because they're likely going to end up selling into the dips unless they want to take the full on risk. You know what I mean? Like, this is the way the market is. It basically requires someone to just hold it. They're better off selling into the spikes than selling into the dips because it's going to dip so low where they have to fully risk it. That's why. So they're better off just either selling into the spikes or fully risking it rather than selling into the dips. That's how I see it. Because basically, guys, for the most part, you have to take big risk if you want to hold for the bigger gains. You really do. Like, there's decay, and you know, it can easily just blow through a couple levels and then reverse. It does it all the time. That's why you either hold it or you sell into the spikes. It seems like selling into the dips isn't the wisest move on the chessboard, you know? Selling into the spikes is the wisest move. And then if you want to hold runners to an extent, you hold runners to an extent. If it doesn't bounce here, I'm going to sell more here, I can always make another trade if I want to do that. But like I said, dude, I'm already green as fuck on this. This went up 50%. Like that's a lot. Like, that's a lot of fucking gains. All right, bro, I'm selling more here. Selling more here. All right, there we go. Sold more there. So, there we go. All right. So, I got 20% left, bro. 20% left. Oh, man. We'll see. You know? You guys know how it is, man. This market, you guys know how it is, bro. We had our fun with the 1.50 straight spike, right? So it's about managing that. But yeah, it was an amazing trade. All right, so guys, rest is small runners, you know? If there's another trade, we might take it. Right now, the best course of action is to take profits and do absolutely nothing, you know? We do believe in terms of holding the trade. We think the bulls are going to win. Um, they clearly already won to a high degree. That's another thing. The bulls could win and then they could stop winning. You know, at some point things change. At some point, you know, things go up, things go down, right? That's why you got to manage your risk. But you know, basically, guys, we're just waiting for the next trade at this point. That's it. You know, so make sure you guys took your gains. And if you want to hold a runner, you hold the runners. It's as simple as that. You know, we sold 35% at the peaks, and then we sold the rest on the dips, and then I got small runners left. That's not gonna affect anything at all. And then the max risk for those runners is right here, right? This is the max risk on those. Like I said, guys, make sure you're taking those gains, dude. You know, don't be a fucking degenerate. I got small runners left. Um, so yeah, I'm just waiting for the next trade at this point, you know? So we shall see. Mm, yeah. So we could get another trade coming up. Obviously we'd be pushing it, and this isn't the best time of days to be trading. But we'll see. You know, we'll see. Oh wow, somebody made a $20,000 profit on SPX calls. Sized in big on that and sold the rip. That's exactly what I teach them to do. You know? See, guys, look, this is why I don't like holding trades. Look, it has to drop a fuck ton to go higher. That's why. If you guys don't want to do that, like I said, you just hold the trade, set a profit stop. So look, the biggest pullback was right here. So you would have been profit stopped out right here at 777. That's when I was selling. The bulk of the rest was right here at 777. You know, that's how you do it. You guys have to understand, like, if you bought the low, you might have been profit stopped out here, depending on your risk. But you could have risked a little bit, you know, you could have kept it there, or you could have kept holding, right? But like the point is, at some point you're going to get profit stopped out. So another thing I recommend is, you know, not just like holding full with a profit stop, is to sell some into rips, you know? Because if you have a profit stop, you're going to sell some into the drop. You know what I mean? If you sell into the rips, you might sell it too soon, but you're getting out on the rips and options decay, right? So you guys got to understand that, man. The market flips. This whole idea of big wins, the way I like to win big is straight up in decent size. You know, I know how to scalp, so I put size in. I don't do this whole, you know, just light 50 contract work. I put some like size in because I scalp. I know how to time trades. Like I turn on a stream, the trade works. I'm scalping. So sometimes scalps could turn into trades where you hold for big wins simply because the market just keeps on going up and up and up and up and up, right? So as it just keeps on going up, what I tell people to do is I tell them sell some into the spikes, and then as it's dipping, starting to go against you, you have to set a profit stop. You have to have a profit stop set, you know? 777, this is a profit stop level. 77630, this is a profit stop level, right? So like if and usually what the market will do is it usually requires people to hold through downside like this to get a bigger return. But one of the problems with the options is they decay so much where people give back a fuck ton to take that risk. And then it could flip green to red, right? Like obviously if someone was using the profit stop method, I wouldn't risk more in between here. Like in terms of my runners, I wouldn't risk more in between there. But I sold the bulk. I sold 35% here and I sold the bulk here. Realistically, if we're right about the idea of this is going to keep on going up, which we don't have to be because we already sold the bulk of our position, um, it's going to try to bottom in between here. That's where it should really, if the bulls really have it like that, they would bottom this in between here to here. That's where it would bottom. It's just the issue with that is, we would have to given back all of our gains. You know what I mean? Just to hold for a bigger move. That's why I don't do that shit. That's why you saw I was telling people to sell and trim here. And you know, when this hit 777, that's when I really started to sell. Because when a strike goes out of the money, contracts take a hit too. With options, it's more complex. With futures, there's no decay or anything, so someone could just literally hold this shit. But with options, it's completely different. With options, usually the best course of action is the market has a big move in your favor, you sell some into the spikes, and then you set profit stops and you move the profit stops up higher instead of holding through big fucking, you know what I mean? That's not the best thing to do with it's too risky. It's too fucking risky. It's like to make 50% more, you have to basically go green to red a lot of the times or like risk half your profits. It's too fucking risky. And then the market has one little move against your favor, the other half you risked is gone. You see what I'm saying? It's not worth the risk. Even if this goes to like 200% plus, it's really not worth giving that back for the most of the time. You know? Aiming for big wins. It's like sometimes they'll hit, sometimes it's just not. I like my wins big by taking a good size and then, having the market go straight up in my favor, selling into spikes, and then setting profit stops into pullbacks, right? So if you guys look at what I did, I sold into the spike, which was the peak, and then my profit stop level for me was basically right here at 7777, because if the market goes below that, it's going to try to drop here, and then all the profit's going to get wiped, right? So another thing about holding for big wins that you guys need to understand is usually the way this works is it either goes straight up or the market drops to levels slowly and decaying you where you're going to have to give back 50 to 75% of your profit to make more. That's why I don't like holding for such so the way I like holding is simple. I like holding when the market is in my favor. And when it starts to turn against me, set profit stops. You know, that's what I like to do. I don't like to hold when the market just keeps on going against me and against me and against me. You know what I mean? So we fucking killed it, you know? And like I said, the only thing to do from here is to wait for the next trade. If someone's like holding this, it's complete degenerate. I get it. If they have a runner, they have a runner. That's fine. But bro, it's fucking degenerate. Like it really is. One guy just said he made $20,000 on SPX. He's doing the right thing. We did the right thing. We sold the peak and then we sold the bulk as soon as it started to drop. But what I'm telling you guys is it's usually not wise for a lot of the times to risk a decent drop because you get back too much profit. That's why. So if you see a big ass spike, bro, sell spikes, set profit stops. You know? Like I said, sometimes the market it'll just go straight up. See, like situations like these. If you bought calls at market open, you wouldn't have been profit stopped out. If you were profit stopped out, you would have been profit stopped out right around here. So you would have been in at 774 and you would have been out right here. You know? This was a somewhat of a pullback, but if you got in here, that was a big enough spike where you could have held through that. You see what I'm saying? And it's market open, give some time for the trade to play out. Smart, the market literally just opened up. You see what I'm saying? So just understand, one of the reasons why I don't like selling into dips is because usually how this works is the market is gonna dip to lower dips. So you could have just sold the spike. You see what I'm saying? That's why. Like instead of me selling a lot right here at 777, I could have just sold the bulk at 7730. You know what I mean? Usually, like if someone's gonna say, all right, I'm gonna risk 777 instead of getting out at 773, a lot of the times the market will just gravitate back towards a slight, you know what I mean? So people are just betting. You see what I'm saying? Um, but it has to do with charts. I would say looking at the charts, it's very obvious that the market was going to drop to here, which is why I sold right here at 777, and now I just have some runners. Because I didn't want to hold through that. I would have given back too much. I don't want to hold through that. And options decay, right? So yeah, I hope you guys understand how that works, bro. Because especially during these times, the market doesn't just go straight up. Usually it goes straight up or straight down at market open, but it might chop first and then do it. Sometimes it does that. Sometimes it chops first, then it goes straight up or straight down. But it's a good enough entry where you can just kind of hold from it regardless and just make another trade too. Middle of the day, the market has light switches. What the market does during the middle of the day is it chops and then it goes straight up or straight down and then it chops again, and then it might just chop and die, or it might go straight up or straight down again. That's what it does middle of the day. So middle of the day, think of the middle of the day as a light switch. That's how the middle of the day works. It's like a light switch where it goes from chop to big move, chop to big move, and sometimes it stops at the light. So sometimes it just keeps on going up, and sometimes it just keeps on chopping, right? And then power hour, it either just chops and fucks everyone, or usually just goes straight up, straight down for the biggest of fucking games. That's usually how it works. And there's ways to get more precise about these things that I'm talking about. Like to me, it's very clear if this were to go to 778, it's very clear that the bottom would be 77650 to 77670. The bottom would be right here. If the market were to go to 778 today, it would likely bottom right around here. The bottom would likely be right in between this zone. And the market already went in between the zone, right? So realistically, if this does go to 778, it would bottom right here, right? But like I said, you guys have to decide how you want to manage your trade on the way up. Because look, you would have given back all your profit if you held that, right? And then if you held it, you would have made bigger gains if it worked out. But it's insane. It's to give back all that profit is insane. Like I said, there's one guy on the stream, he took SPX, he sold into the spikes. He said he made $20,000. And then there could have been another person who said, you know what, I'm going to risk right around here. And they gave back a fuck ton of profit. I saw the risk. That's why as soon as this went to 777, I instantly sold the bulk, and I sold a good amount up here too. Um, so yeah, it's as simple as that. I'm not willing to take those types of risk to make another 50%. That's how I manage my trades. I'm not willing to do that. If any, I can get back into the trade. I can add to the trade. I can buy another strike. I can make another trade, right? I'm just not like, bro, if I'm up 50%, I'm not willing to risk 30 to 40% to make another 50. I'm not willing to do it. Like, there's no way in fucks, unless the trade was that fucking perceived to be good. But you'd have to be a degenerate to do it during this time because, like I said, the market during the middle of the day, it switches all the time. It goes from peak euphoria to meh to chop to slow to decay. It's like it keeps on switching during the middle of the day. It goes from good to shit to good to shit, and then it just gets stuck. It either gets stuck at good or it gets stuck at shit. But like I said, as long as we're holding this range, it should go higher. It's just I'm not willing to take that risk, bro. You know what I mean? That's why I sold the bulk of my position in between the peak in 777 because I'm not willing to take that risk of all those gains given back. So that's just me. You guys decide how you want to trade it. You know, like the other guy, he literally said he just sold the peak. He's like, bro, I don't even want to sell into it then. You know, I, I I sold a bulk into the peak, and then on the first dip, I said I'm cutting it because I don't want to risk more. And it looks like it wanted to go a little lower, so I'm not taking that risk. Fuck that. And you guys got to understand options decay. You know, and you got to understand the middle. If you hold a trade during the middle of the day, I'm telling you, there's going to be big momentum moves, and then it's going to die. And when it dies, you're going to get back a fuck ton of profit. And then it might have another big momentum move like it's trying to do right now, or it might just completely die. And then you get back all your gains. So I'm personally not willing to take that risk. I'd rather take the gains, you know? That's how I trade. I'm not willing to, you know, maybe at time I'll risk like one dip. So I risk basically one dip, but multiple dips, I'm not doing it. But the red flag about risking one dip is a lot of the times, bro, the market just has a couple dips. That's usually what it does, you know? A lot of the times it usually doesn't bottom at that one dip, but it depends. It depends on the time you're trading. If you're trading during high momentum times like market open power hour, it could make sense, you know, like see the market at a dip, strong breakout, only one dip, right? But that wasn't a big enough dip during market open. Everyone would have held through that. That wasn't big enough to get out. Like that made sense to just keep on holding. Um, but to just hold that trade makes no logical sense because, you know, it was gonna keep on dipping and decay. Makes no logical sense. And you know, the market goes from cycles where it goes high and slow, and then back to high or just stays low. There's no guarantees, you know? You take what it gives you. Sometimes it gives you a I mean, dude, this was a banger. This if I would have gotten into lows, it would have been so much more profit. But this went up from 7 7 like dude, the market went up from 7 7 550 to 7 750. This went 2 points straight up. Basically, no one would have been profit stopped out. They would have basically, you know, like the market was very generous. Now it's just dead, you know? It literally just died. It'll pick up during power hour. Right now it's literally just dead. You know, all it's doing is, you know, people have to decide, do they want to hold and take the risk or do they want to get out, play it safe? Literally part of holding this is decay. That's the one thing about options is people are more likely to get out in certain trades because of decay. And we're trading during a time where the market decays options. You know, it's not like this is market open where things go straight up and straight down, right? It's like the market goes straight up and then it dies and it could just die out or it could come back to life and it could drop massively or it could spike massively. That's the reality of the market. So like I said, man, that trade is basically done. If you guys want to hold runners, you know. Like I said, it does make sense to hold runners. But due to the decay, you're gonna have to risk going green to red, you know? There's no way out of that. You're gonna have to risk going green to red if you're holding runners. If you want the bigger gain, you see what I'm saying? Like look at the reality of the market, guys. If you're holding calls right here, the reality is with decay in one small drop, you're risking all your gains, right? That's why I say if people are in calls, they should only be in runners because they're risking too much. You know what I mean? They're risking too fucking much. Like they should not be risking all of the profit. Like um I'm still bullish though, and I'm still in on runners. You know, it's not going to affect my gains. But you guys have to understand, man, options decay, you know? So you can't just hold them forever. You know, they decay. Relying on big gains during slow periods of time is not a wise move. Big gains are more reliable during the market open and power hour because the momentum is either there or it's not. It usually doesn't switch like crazy. If you guys study the middle of the day, you'll see, I'm telling you, all it does is cycle. It goes straight up, it dies forever, or it goes straight up again. It just cycles. It cycles through momentum and dying, and sometimes it just goes full momentum, sometimes it just dies. A lot of the times it just cycles. Momentum, you know what I mean? So, like I said, you guys can use this and create your own system and decide how you want to trade it. Um, I just don't recommend risking a couple of dips because it's not worth it. You know, if you want to risk one dip, that's what I did. You know, I sold a lot at the peak and then I said I'm going to risk a dip. It looked ugly, so I got out of it at 777 and now I'm just holding some runners, you know? And with those runners, you're risking green to red. That's what you're risking. The decay, you know, the decay fucks this whole idea of our good entry. We got an amazing entry, but the fucking decay is gonna fuck that up. That's why you guys can see how fucking insane you would have to be to hold this shit versus when it just goes straight up and there's momentum and you take 50% gains. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's insane. It's like, it's basically like making another trade. That's how I see it. It's like if someone's still holding a call, it's basically like making another trade, you know? You could just sell into the peaks, sell into the first dip with a profit stop instead of just holding. It's like they're basically making another trade when the trade already worked. That's why I don't like holding when the market dies or when the market flips because it's like I'm entering a new trade when the trade already worked. You see what I'm saying? It's not worth the risk. It could be a 200% win, but it's not worth it. It's not worth giving back 50%. You know what I mean? It's not worth it. So, hope that makes sense, you know, because the market doesn't just go straight up. Um, it does until it doesn't. So, sell into spikes and set profit stops. You know, common fucking sense. It does until it doesn't. You know, it went straight up here and then it crashed. It went straight up here and now it's dead, right? So the only thing left to do is make another trade. That's it. You know, if you want to hold a runner, you hold a runner. You're holding something that was up 50% that can go green to red for 100%. So if you do the math, you make 50% more. If you do the risk, you get back 50% of the gain. You know? It's like, it's obscene. It's fucking obscene. But what I'm telling you guys is that for those of you who want to hold and get these big wins, you're going to see a lot of the times the market, you got to hold through big pullbacks to get the bigger wins. So you can either sell into spikes and set profit stops, win big like that, and take some size, you know, or you can literally just hold this and risk the bulk of the profits. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It's just, I'm not the type to risk all my gains for more gains. I could just make another trade. The fuck, like manage your risk. If the gains aren't big enough, manage your risk. Time the trades better, size accordingly. Like the fuck. But yeah, man. Like I'm saying, man, you guys got to create your system with the market and figure out how you want to do this. You know, I like my wins. I like the big wins. When the market does this, it goes straight up. I sell into spikes, profit stop down the rest. Um, and I take some size. You know, I know how to time trades, so I like to take some size. It's a scalp. It's not like I'm holding this shit to fucking infinity. I could, you know, on this trade, I can clear. This is clearly a setup where I can hold this to infinity. I do have runners. So if the runners worked out, it would balance out, you know, some of the position that I sold here instead of selling at the peak. It would balance that out. But I could have just sold it all at the peak and not even give a fuck about that balance. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's so many ways to do this. But yeah, man, everybody is fucking green. Everybody's fucking printing. Everybody's fucking winning. Everybody's banking. The shit is absolutely insane, man. But we'll see, man. There could be one more trade. If you're gonna trade during power hour, make sure SPX doesn't take all your gains. You know, the only thing I dislike about SPX is, look, obviously it's a lot better to trade SPX than SPY during power hour, 100%. Oh my gosh, this looks like it wants to drop lower. The only thing I wanna, the only thing I dislike about SPX, the main thing I dislike about SPX is, it goes straight to zero if you're wrong. You know, that's the one thing I don't like about it. So it gives big gains, but someone has to be so fucking precise dead on. Like, guys, when it comes to timing, there's nothing to time better than SPX. If you can time that thing right, put it this way, you can be in at 50 cents. The trade goes up to 500, you'll make 1,000%, but usually it'll drop to 10 cents and not bottom at 50. So the person in at 10 cents, they're going to make 5 times more. You see what I'm saying? That's how that is. So with SPX, to make the biggest of gains, timing is the most important thing. Um, you know, and you just gotta be sized in and prepped for it to go straight to zero. That's the only thing I don't like about it. It's like if you time that wrong, oh my gosh, bro, it goes straight to zero. Or if you're on the wrong side, it goes straight to fucking zero. It's like you have to be right about the trend and you have to have a big move in your favor. It's like some people might even create a system where if they're gonna buy two contracts, they buy one instead, and then if it drops 50%, they buy another, and they let the percentage gains do the work that way, rather than just putting the two in at the first one because the first one could drop 50% before going higher. Some people might think about it like that way because it's a big difference if you buy something at 50 versus buying something at 20 and then it goes up, to 1,000. It's a big difference. So some people might look at it like maybe I should buy two strikes instead of one strike if they could even afford to do that, right? Because certain small accounts, they can't even afford to take the risk. Like there was people red in our group. We had a massive win on SPY calls, and then we took a trade on SPX, and some people were red. They didn't manage their risk. The contract on SPX, it usually doesn't cost more, but the contract on SPX costs 200 cents during power hour. Everyone knows you risk 20% of your gains. Um, and the SPY calls that works, they were 50 cents, right? So big difference, 50 cents versus 200 cents, right? So if they're just doing one contract, obviously they're going to be red if the SPX trade doesn't work out. So that means they need to not make that trade. They can't afford the risk because SPX goes straight to zero, right? SPY contracts are cheaper than SPX. Sometimes SPX is 150 to 200. So small accounts, sometimes they can't even trade it because they would risk their fucking too much of their gains because SPX is higher. But usually SPX is priced normally close to SPY, usually. But we added to that trade too. So there was no reason for them to be red unless they literally just blindly didn't manage their risk. Like that's on them. But we added to that trade, so it was a winner. You know? So yeah, man. But yeah, bro, this is everybody's green. We're making the best trades to be made within the market. But guys, I want your feedback too. Like honestly, guys, what do you think about what it is that I said, man? Cuz look, I'm going to start a service. Um, and I'm more of a systematic person. So, I want to put myself in a system. I don't want to put myself in a schedule where I'm not doing things to operate. The way I look at my schedule is a systematic schedule. It's designed for me to do certain things at certain periods of times, right? So, I'm curious, like what do you guys think about the idea where I only live stream when there's a trade? You know what I mean? So instead of showing up at a specific time every single day and just explaining to you, all right, guys, here's why I'm not doing anything, here's why I'm sitting out, and then eventually on the stream, it could take an hour, it could take 2 hours, or there might not even be a trade. That's another thing. My intent is not to trade every single day. I'm gonna try my best to, but I would say it's more 3 to 4 times of the day. Certain days are just not good times to trade. I'm trying to show up the way I'm thinking is I'm trying to show up when the best setup at the best price hits. Usually 3 to 4 days every single week. Usually, I would say four. Usually 3 to 4. If you want to do an average, like 3.5. So usually like 70% plus of the week is good. 100%. But I had the idea instead of showing up with a schedule, um, I could have a Telegram channel where I just alert people when the stream's about to start so they get the notification. And then we go on the stream, and the stream lasts 1 2 hours. Sometimes it lasts longer, sometimes it doesn't last as long. It depends on how the market is. It varies. I'm trading in a systematic way. I'm not trying to stream blindly. I don't want to waste my time. So the idea was, I give people the game plan, I show them the setups that I'm interested in, and then if I see a reason or see a confirmation at those setups, I go on a stream, and there should be 3 to 4 streams every single week. I would say four, definitely try to get four, sometimes three, sometimes five. But the whole idea is, instead of sitting here when there's nothing to do, and just educate on why I'm doing nothing. I know some people perceive that to be valuable, a set schedule, explain why you're not doing anything. But bro, I could literally just give them the game plan, set alerts at my levels, and just instead of alerting my trades in the Telegram, I alert the stream. I email the link to the stream. Everybody gets the email, everybody gets the Telegram notification. I'll give them some time in advance and I'll give them a game plan in advance. Like if you guys watch the videos, I said I'm going to focus on buying oversold dips. If you look at the streams this week, I bought oversold dips. I waited for the market to crash and then I bought the dip. I waited for the market to crash and then I bought the dip, right? So the idea is to show up when the best setup at the best price occurs. So the system is, instead of showing up with a schedule, explaining to people why I'm not doing anything and waiting to see if a trade comes or not. Some streams there might not even be a trade. The idea is to show up on stream when there's a trade. When a trade from the game plan, the curriculum that I teach, that I trade, presents itself, the idea is to create a system where I'm live on the stream when the curriculum in the course, where the game plan that everyone's given presents itself, rather than sitting on a stream when there is no game plan happening, there is no best setup happening. All it would be is just explaining why I'm not doing anything. You know what I mean? So instead of creating a follow my trade system, the idea is to give people a game plan and to give them the curriculum to teach them how the game plan works, to teach them how to trade with the game plan, right? And then to show up on stream when there's some sort of confirmation at our game plan, and then to make the trade on the stream and to present the education, present the curriculum. So beforehand they were already presented the game plan and they're going to know how to trade it because the live streams in the course is going to teach them how to trade, right? So I turn on the stream when a trade presents itself from the game plan, which is designed from the curriculum. You see what I'm saying? It's like the trades don't even have to be recapped. It's like the way I'm trading is a live trading recap. There is, you know what I mean? I mean, certain things could be recapped in terms of, if I made a mistake during the trade or things like that, but that would be explained, after the trade. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what you guys had to say because, if I'm gonna start a service, you know, obviously I'm gonna do what I think is best and what I want to do, but I'm just curious to see what other people have to say because they're gonna be the ones in the service. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I gotta do, what's best for me too. Like I don't want to sit on a stream when there's nothing to do, bro. Like I got other things to do. And it's just something I don't want to do 24/7. I don't, like I don't think live streaming all day is the healthiest thing to be doing. There's other things to be doing. I like systems. I don't like being chained to things. I like creating systems that work. A system that not only where they can watch me trade, but they get the education before the trade because the game plans are going to teach them what to do, and the curriculum in the course in the live trading streams is going to teach them what to do. And then they get to see me do it live when there's a reason to do it live. Like, bro, I'm talking about showing up when there's some sort of confirmation. Not even like if it hits the best level, if there's no confirmation, I don't even think I would want to do the stream. I'm talking about showing up when there's an actual reason to get in, instead of just saying, oh, guys, our level hit. There might be a trade here. I'm talking about showing up when there is a trade at the level, when there is some sort of confirmation. And then, before I get into the trade, I explain to people, this is the confirmation. And then beforehand, they're going to already know what I'm looking at because I'm going to give them the game plan. I'm going to give them the roadmap every single day. There's going to be updates with the game plan, right? So you can think of it Instead of a scheduled live stream every day, you could think of it like live stream alerts. That's the idea. I alert people when I stream instead of alerting people when I enter a trade via text. Because if I did it that way, people are just going to want to blindly follow. And that's not the point. I don't, in the future, we can discuss potentially adding that feature when it comes to alerting the trades. But see, that's something where I might not offer, because the whole idea of this company that I'm talking about is to actually create self-sufficient independent traders who can do this on their own, where they don't have to rely on my game plans, on my trade alerts. They can do it on their own. If they want to see me trade it live, they can watch the stream and tune in and get educated. But the idea of not giving actual text alerts is to simply not allow people to blindly follow. If they watch the stream, it forces people to actually learn and understand like what it is that I'm doing. But if I give out text alerts, I'm just telling people that they can just blindly follow the trade. And that was never the point of the business that I'm starting, like Team Roar, the point of that is just to more follow the trades. That's what some people want to do. Other people actually want to learn how to do this. Like, not everyone just wants to follow. But I would still be trading, so I'd be trading live on stream, teaching the curriculum. That's the whole idea. I just don't like the idea of trading in a Telegram because, I think it's just going against the point of my company. We already have Team Roar. The point of that is to follow the alerts. Obviously they can learn things in there. Um, but the point of my company is more on the self-sufficient, independent trader side. And I just think if I give people opportunities in the company to do things that aren't going to get them that result, then they're less likely to get the result. You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? Like, if there's a company that says the point of this is to be self-sufficient, where you can do this all on your own, if the company gives them opportunities to do other things, then the results may vary. Or, some would say, then if that's the point of the company, why would you do that? Why would you have that in the company? So, like I said, man, I know some of you guys are going to join it. That's why, I just wanted to bring that up to you guys, because you're going to be the ones, some of you are going to be the ones in a service, right? Um, so yeah, I'm just curious. Let me see. And like I said, I'm still holding my runners, dude. I still have 20% left to run. Um, you know, this is a green, red, green, break and retest. Guys, it's the same patterns. Every time I show up on a stream, it reverses and it forms the same patterns. I'm telling you, we identified with the game plan posted this week that it was going to be a bullish week, you know, and the best thing to do is buy oversold dips. That's why I'm showing up at all the dips, because this is the best thing to do. This is what's going to make me look the best, make the curriculum look the best, make the education look the best, make everything look the best if I do the best things. The best thing wasn't to buy the breakouts, the best thing was to buy the dips, you know? I'm trying to put people into the most competent system on the planet. And I would say part of that is not me being on the live stream. I create the game plans, create the education, and then when the opportunity presents itself, I trade it live on stream instead of just alerting it in a chat. If I just alert it in a chat, it's not they're not going to get they're not going to get the full educational experience, you know? And if I just give people the opportunity to do that, they're not gonna some people are gonna join just for the alerts. So then I'll have some customers who are in it just for the alerts, and then I'll have other customers who are in it for the education. And then that creates two different customers, two different results. It creates a division in the society. And I'm sitting here saying, do I really want to create that division just to get more clients? Do I really want to spark, like, if the point of the company was, you know, do this on your own, we're attracting people who actually want to do this on their own. Do I really want to attract people who want to just follow the trades? We already have a company that allows them to do that. You know what I mean? We already have a company that just says follow the trades. Do we really need another one? Like, I know I can add it. It doesn't seem like the smartest move to make. I think it should be just more of a clear difference of what the companies are. One's education and one's just follow the trades. Obviously they can follow my trades on stream, but at least they're learning. At least they're fucking like they have more education of what it is that's actually going on. Like, so yeah, man, that's just where I'm at. your guys' feedback is appreciated, but the idea was a system, That's my idea. Like I could place myself in a system where my job is to show up with a schedule and just explain to people why I'm not doing anything, but it just doesn't, I just don't see it. I think like I could make some videos or we could do a live stream once in a while with a schedule just for people to understand why we're not doing anything. But, I think we should just focus on the winning, just focus on the best setups at the best prices. This whole idea of just sitting here and not trading. When I was doing 6 hour streams, a lot of the people said, bro, he doesn't even trade. He's not even trading because it would take me like 2 hours to enter a trade. It takes for fucking, like, bro, if I sit, it's going to take forever. Like, look, when did I turned on the stream today at what time? At 12:30 p.m. I would have been here 9:30 a.m., fried out of my fucking mind, saying who knows what, bitching, whining, complaining, or trying to entertain the stream. Like, it's a waste. It's a waste of time. I could see how that can like frustrate me too. I'm saying like, bro, I know on a stream I could just be quiet, but it's just a waste of time, bro. I'm telling you, a lot of my trades are made. I have a game plan. I take a glance at my phone. You can even get alerts. You can get alerts every single time a 30-minute candlestick closes. So usually I make my trades when there's a massive move in the market or when a 30-minute candlestick closes. That's usually what I'm doing. So today it was both. Today it was the best setup at the best price. Guys, the best setup at the best prices. It doesn't get better than this. I'm telling you, it does not. We had a reason with the game plan that the weekly chart was going to be bullish. I explained to people how if this drops and flips bearish, that's normal. And the best thing you can do is buy the oversold dips. And I explained to them how the most likely outcome was a bullish week. And I explained to them how this is the best opportunity to be swing trading. That's why I just bought a lot more VGT and all these stocks recently. But you know, we had a clear vision of what can happen this week. So the most logical, competent thing to do when it comes to just airdropping the best trades and teaching on a stream would be to buy the dips. So, like yesterday, I saw the market had a big spike. It came back down, retested, and then there were so many confirmations. Green, red, green, green, red, green, break, retest, green, red, green, right? It was all bullish, right? And then today it did the same thing. The market had a massive breakout in a short period of time, and then it dropped in a short period of time, and then it retested the previous day highs. And then I noticed, green, red was down, formed out resistance. Red, green is a bullish reversal placed at a break and retest support, which was the previous day highs, right? So the confirmation for the reversal was there and I turned on the stream. That's what I'm saying, bro. But I honestly think if I just do a schedule and sat on the stream, I'm not gonna like it. I don't think I'm gonna like it at all. Like, bro, I like coming on here when it's time to win, Like it makes everything look the best. It makes the curriculum look the best. It makes our trades look the best. Like I don't like the idea of sitting for hours and just waiting for something to build up. I like showing up when something's there. That's why a lot of the times too, you'll see when I turn on the streams, you'll see usually not just the confirmation, it's momentum. I like showing up when the momentum's there. That's why I also like the 10 to 12 schedule. If I were to do a schedule, it would be a 9:50 to 12. That because the momentum tends to always be there. I love that schedule. But I could even do a mix. I could show up 10 to 12 and then I can cut the stream and only show up when there's the best setup at the best price. That would probably be the one of the best combinations. But I still think one of the best things is the live stream alerts. It's just too fucking superior. It's like it's insane, bro. Like to just trade on a stream when there's an actual trade, you know what I mean? I think it's a lot better that way. But if I do some schedules, it's gonna be like 10 to 12. That would be my schedule, 10 to 12. But it's just, bro, I'm saying when the best setups and the best prices hit, they happen at all different times, And if the momentum's there, it makes a lot of sense for me to show up. So I mean, sometimes this can happen at market open. This week it happened during the middle of the day. This is insane. Like, look at the improvement. Normally during the middle of the day, I was trading like shit. And then I stuck with my game plan and I showed up with the right thesis and system, and it's working fucking amazing, you know? And I wasn't streaming before then. So, you know, I like the idea of the system. I definitely have to be a lot more systematical after 12, 100%. If I'm just getting in onto trades, 10 to 12 is usually the perfect bracket to do that. But 12 to 4, I got to be more systematical, 100%. Um, but yeah, man, I just really like the idea of just showing up when there's a trade to be made, you know? The same way someone, some people like showing up, they drop an alert. Well, I like to, you know, I'd rather show up on a stream and actually present the opportunity. That was literally prepared days to weeks in advance. It was all prepared that we were going to buy the dips, you know? It was all prepared that the market was going to try to drop first and flip green. Um, look at VGT, bro. Oh my gosh, bro. This was literally just that. This was just at this week. This was just at 119. It just hit 123. I'm telling you, this ETF is a fucking monster, dude. It literally just dipped, just like the SPY, and now it's just getting ready to rip for those new all-time highs. But guys, look at this pattern on VGT, man. I think I disclosed this in the game plan. I might not have. I might haven't, but I know I talked about it, so I should have. But look at this, bro. Green, red, red, green. You see the trend reversal, green, red, green. Look at what happens when this pattern forms. It goes parabolic. Look at this. I'm going to show you. Always look, this isn't identical, but it's similar. Green, red, green. It's similar. It goes parabolic, even if the month closed bearish. But we're more likely to have a bullish closing month with the weekly chart patterns that I showed you on the SPY. So look at this, bro. This is what I'm talking about. People don't see this coming, dude. Look at this. This is ridiculous. Look at this. Green, trend reversal red, green. Oh my gosh. One of the best opportunities to buy it. Look at this. This went from 30 all the way to 40. Massive gain there. And then look, green, red, green, trend reversal, and then it goes high. Dude, literally the exact lows for a swing trade. And I explained to them how in the SPY, literally the weekly chart was the same opportunity for a swing trade, you know? But when it comes to investing, I'm going with VGT. I ain't going with SPY, bro. I'm going with VGT. I'm placing my bet on the future for VGT. I ain't going with SPY. Could have someone SPY, but I'm going with VGT all the fucking way, bro. That's where I'm putting, when it comes to index funds, I'm putting it into VGT, dude. This shit can easily go up 50%. Within the next 2 years. Another interesting pattern was this. I was looking at the yearly chart on the SPY, um, you know, during Trump's first term as president. And look, when this green bullish, you see this candle right here? You see this green bullish chart pattern right here? The next year was so fucking bullish whenever this form like this whenever it forms these green bullish pins. This is what I'm talking like green bullish pin, green bullish pin. This one is identical to this one, right? And this one is similar too. This one is similar too, just not on as large as a scale, right? The next year was always bullish, And I looked at all the weekly chart patterns. That's why it made so much sense for me to make heavy investments when the market's at all-time highs, because it's just one of those situations where it's going to try to go up another 30% plus. And then if it drops, my entry will literally be the bottom, towards the bottom. I'll be in an amazing entry, and then I just hold it forever. But look, green up, next year bullish close. Green up, next year bullish close. Green up, next year bullish close. The market is trying to close very bullish this overall year, and we got plenty of time left for the year, man. So I'm not missing out on those gains. There's no way. The way I see it, in terms of VGT, one of the worst case scenarios is I would say it drops to like 80. Worst case scenario, if shit hits the fan, it drops 80 to 90. Best case scenario, it goes up unlimited. That's why, bro, I have to get in now. But it's not just that. There's reasons why this can literally be the bottom. There's reasons why 90 can literally be the bottom. If not, then the 70, 80 should be the bottom. Bro, in today's economy, you guys have to invest at all-time highs. That's the economy we're in. It's like if you don't, you miss out on a 30% gain, and then if the market drops 40%, well, you gave back some gains, but long term, it's worth holding. It's not like it's a fucking option contract. You know, if I'm up 40% and then the market drops 40%, I'm gonna hold that because long term it goes up 400%. So it's a good entry. It's still considered a very good entry for the long term if you're holding for the long term. You know, the absolute lowest I see this is like 75 to 80, right around there. But this is when it comes to investing right now, this is perceived to be an absolute amazing entry. You know, and this was literally just at 80. So it might not even drop back down to 80. If it does, I'd buy a fuck ton more. Fuck. Um, but yeah, guys, you know, so markets just breaking out and retesting green, red, green. You can see, and you'll understand. This is why I don't love my gains. If you think about it, this is why I don't hold a bulk of my position, you know, for a bigger gain when the market flips, is because, bro, look at what we did yesterday. Yesterday, we bought the lows and we sold into the peaks. And then I said, you know, there's a good idea here where if someone buys calls, they can make some money. It went up a little bit and then it fell off a cliff. So it fell off a cliff at all the resistance. Now, look at today. If we were to hold calls, we would be pushing it. We really would be pushing the market. We really would be. You know, it has high probabilities of working, but with all the decay and everything, we'd be pushing it because look, there was resistance right here at 776. We already bought at a resistance level and it spiked $1.50, right? So obviously, if that starts to drop, we got to get out. We're not going to take that risk with options and decay and all of that. You know, it's different if someone had futures. If they had futures, they can just set a max pain at here, but bro, they'd be risking all of that just for it to go up another dollar. Like it's not worth the risk, bro. That's why we literally cut that towards the peaks. Um, but yeah, man, this is good. You know, this is good. If it doesn't happen today, then it just gives us another opportunity tomorrow to be green. You know, we're still at oversold levels. So, you know, SPY's gonna try to have a bullish closing week. And you know, we're still at an oversold dip. So if it doesn't happen today, there's gonna be more opportunity for tomorrow. If we missed out on another move today, we already hit a big move. We don't need another one. You make another one, you risk some of your profits, you know? So we're in a very good spot to just do nothing. You know, this is like I'm telling you, this is how you guys have to trade. You know, unless we get a perfect confirmation and we want to take a small risk, we can make one more. But the only thing I dislike about calls is because we're pushing it. Obviously, the market can have one of those days where it does have a bigger move and we're not perceived to be pushing it. But we clearly push this, you know, 775 all the way to 77750. That's one fuck of a push. You know, sometimes it goes a little bit Deegan and last minute towards power hour. It finally goes to 778s, right? Um, but we did good. You know, we did good. I still have my runners, bro. I still have them. This is crazy. I still have some runners. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, like I said, if you guys have runners, you're risking green to red. Your risk is right here, right slightly above the entry. You know, with all the decay, you know, that the risk is towards there. So, um, it's insane, bro. This trade is absolutely insane, you know? So yeah, man, we did the right thing. We really did. 100%, bro. Um, all right, so someone said they don't want to follow trades. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Not everyone wants to follow trades, you know? Some people want to do it on their own. Or at least, you know, be in something where they start to learn, you know, like how they could do it on their own. Like I don't know, some people might say they want to do it on their own, but then they realize when they're learning with someone else, they might just want to follow the person in an educational way. You know, maybe not an alert way, but in an educational way. But a lot of people do want to strive for independence. 100%. If you can't do it on your own, you always got to rely on someone or something else, like to show up, and then people want money for that, etc. Like systematic okay, so Adam said think systematizing levels sent out each morning to subscribers and aspire to live stream at least 3 days a week when the trades are visible. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the idea. I was thinking like, because another thing too, guys, like, I just don't think streaming every day is the healthiest thing to be doing, especially this business in general. Like trading and then being in the business of trading, streaming every day is not the healthiest of choices, like in life. That's like, bro, when I stream, bro, I don't give a fuck about eating, dude. I get so fucking hyped up from the stream and like, I just don't care to eat as much. Like if I stream, bro, I don't get the biggest of appetites. I just want to keep on fucking living. Like I just don't give a fuck. Like, but anyways, man, like I think 3 streams a week. He's right. That's the perfect balance. Some weeks I can go harder and do 4 to 5, but I think 3 streams a week as a base is good. And then I could push for 4 on some, and then just keeping it systematic. And whenever I'm not on the stream, I'm gonna try to keep it systematic in the Telegram channel with some updates. But most of the updates are gonna be before the market even opens. There's not going to be a lot of updates as the markets open because we're already going to have a plan before. That's why. But there will be some updates. But the idea is not like, give trade alerts in a channel. That's not the idea. I can give some updates on game plans and markets and things to be aware of, but the whole idea of what I'm doing is not like to send buy and sell alerts in a Telegram. Um, it more supplements when I don't need to be on the stream, but something, should be said, or some sort of announcement, or some sort of like analysis, or updated game plan that we're looking at. More of the game plan approach. Like if I see a new game plan, I can alert it live on a Telegram channel. Like I'm not going to start up a stream just because I see a new game plan. The streams are going to be for when it's time to trade. And it's really only time to trade 10 to 12. Um, if I'm just aiming for trades, right, and the game plan is there. But in terms of systematic, it can happen at any time. If I'm trading the best setups at the best prices, I love trading them during 10 to 12. That's my preference, but sometimes they happen later on. I mean, you guys can see they've been happening at 12 p.m. And I've been trading a lot better during this time, with the system, not being on the stream, and just using the system and then showing up when the clear trade is there. But yeah, man, calls are working out nicely. Um, it should try to go a little. If you guys look at the hourly, so look at the hourly, this is very bullish. So this wick, you see how this close formed at the support, and then you got the wick. That means there's a magnet at this wick at 7,750. And if it's going to touch that, there's very high probabilities that it goes to this next wick, which is at 77810. So basically, this 1 hour candle, it looks like what it's going to do is it's going to trigger a breakout to 778. And the 4 hour chart is literally what led this, bro. I'm telling you guys, the 4 hour chart carried. Like, if you were wondering, like, why I was so confident to just hold this trade longer, because I held it pretty long. A lot of the times I would have gotten out a lot earlier. I held that into a 1.5 spike and into it really didn't have any pullbacks. That's why it was easy to held too. But I was just so fucking confident on it because the 4 hour chart. The 4 hour chart made it very clear of what was going on. This was a resistance, this was a break, this was a retest. And then the next 4 hours, it retested the highs and it even went higher after that. So basically, as long as the price for this pattern to repeat, for a good entry, all the SPY had to do was just hold the previous close of the 4 hour. It just had to hold this close right here. And I looked at the chart and I looked at the other time frames, and I said it just bottomed at the 4 hour chart, and the game plan said to buy the dips, oversold dips on break and retest levels, right? So I noticed how it was holding, and then I said if it keeps on holding, it's going to gravitate back towards the high of this wick. And there was a magnet at 778, and there was another magnet at 779. And then the 30-minute chart is what gave me even more confirmation that it was going to start to reverse, because green red at resistance, and this is insane. I literally told bears this week, I told them keep your eyes on 774, 775. That's a put zone. It dropped first. And then I also told them if you want to buy puts at all-time highs. And the market literally dropped at all-time highs. It went up first, but then it dropped. It worked too. Even the levels for puts are working, but you guys can see why I'm not interested in puts, because bro, we're in a bullish market. Go back and watch the previous video. It explains to you why I'm not interested in puts. I mean, there's opportunities for puts, but it's going to get harder and harder and more challenging. The bears are better off with a simple 30-minute confirmation and the best levels. If they just wait for a red bearish candlestick, like a green red bearish reversal pattern at our levels, they're better off doing that than whatever the fuck else they're gonna. That's their only hope, is the best resistance level in a green red flush, green red flush. See, guys, this is what you have to do. You have to identify similar patterns. You have to identify opportunities within the market where it puts you in at the best price. And if it starts to go under, you decide how much you want to risk. But if it holds that price, you're going to be in at the exact lows. And if you're entering yourself in positions that have unlimited upside with very limited downside, if you cut that loss, or if you just want to hold it to zero and your size for that, you're going to be in on the best trades. That's how they're created. Previous resistance, massive breakout, massive retest, red, green, bullish breakout, green, red, green, bullish breakout. All of the magnets, we got magnets on the 4 hour. The 4 hour chart literally said if it holds the 4 hour close, it's going to go right back up. If it holds the 4 hour close, it's going to go right back up, right? So that means if someone buys calls here at 775.50 and it holds, it's going to try to go all the way back up to here. So your risk is virtually nothing if it works. And if it doesn't work, you decide how you want to manage that. Do you want to buy a zero date asset class and hold to zero? Do you want to risk 30% to 50% on a scalp? You decide how you want to manage that, right? It's your guys' choice and how you want to manage that. We have people who take the trades at futures. They do a futures trading system, right? You can, whatever you want to create out of that, you can create out of that. But everybody sees the idea. The idea is if it holds here, that's the bottom, and it's going to go all the way back up to here. So very little risk, high reward. It's very little risk for bulls because they have to cut it at some point. So you can cut it with a stop loss, trade it whatever asset class you want, or you can hold the zero dates to zero. You can do that too. You can trade it however you want to trade it, right? But the point is, you have to put yourself in high probability situations where basically, if this cannot crack, it's the worst level to short the market and to buy puts. And the game plan said the best thing to do is to buy oversold calls, which is in alignment with this level. And you look for a confirmation. This was my confirmation. Green, red, flush, red, green, spike, right? So I was looking at the market and I remembered the curriculum. The curriculum said this week, focus on buying oversold dips. That's the best thing someone can do for a bullish trending week, right? And I also said it was a key pivotal point to be swing trading the market at all-time highs for a massive breakout into 830s if you're going to hold for the next couple months, right? So I looked at this and I said red, green, green, red, bearish, red, green, bullish, break, retest. And then I looked at what we did yesterday. It was the same fucking thing. Same thing. Red, green, green, red, green, red, same fucking thing, bro. It's the same exact thing. Except yesterday, we literally bought it right at the lows, and there was some confirmation lacking. One of the advantages to not using a confirmation is if you guys know the level to get in, right? So looking at the 4 hour chart, if we look at this pattern, right? This right here, so this right here, right? If that pattern repeats itself, that's the exact bottom where the 4 hour closed. So big upside potential to hit the wick, right? So we know if that repeats itself, it's going to bottom here and go back up to here, right? And then you decide what system you want to create, what asset class you want to trade with that. Do you want to use a stop loss, no stop loss? How do you want to size, et cetera, right? But we all know that. So if you just get in with certain lexicon formations, you get the best price. That's the advantage to just getting in at the price. And a lot of the times, so if you get in at the best price, a lot of the times it will work first, but then it could flip red, but you're not going to go green to red. Now, if you wait for the confirmation, you get in at a higher price, um, and it could have higher probabilities of working, but sometimes not. If you're going to use confirmations, I always recommend to get a good deal on price. One of the things that sucks about confirmations is sometimes the confirmation forms at such a higher price where someone needed to use a confirmation at that best price with a lower time frame rather than a higher time frame. You see what I'm saying? Like there could be confirmations on the 5-minute chart, there could be confirmations on the 10-minute chart, 15-minute chart, 30-minute chart. These are all short-term time frames. The one that leads the best from a macro view, 30-minute chart for day trading, 4-hour chart is superior for overall direction, as you can see. And like bro, the 4-hour chart was such a perfect pattern to be holding. Like look at the fucking look at the 4-hour chart yesterday. It was absolutely fucking trash. This was horrible yesterday. Look at the it didn't have much. There wasn't much to work with. It didn't really, it wasn't the best. This was perfect. You have to look for the most perfect surgical opportunities in the market. Market literally blasted off to new all-time highs. This week we were prepped for it. It held that close and it had a bullish close. You see, it held that close. Now it's having the bullish close. You see what I'm saying? Like, bro, that's what you guys have to focus on. Putting yourself in the highest probabilities of trades, the best setups at the best prices. But you have to know if the market is bullish or bearish. You have to know, like, is this the week to buy oversold dips? Is this the week to buy puts at support? Or is this the week to buy oversold dips? Is this the week to just buy puts at resistance levels? That's what I told people. I was like, bro, if you want to buy puts, you got to do just at the resistance. The market's going to try to have a bullish week, right? Doesn't mean you have to buy the puts. Some people don't want to win that way. Some people want to win different ways. If the trend is bullish for the week, I'm going to focus on calls. Puts are against me, and puts are less gains. And there's higher probabilities of winning with the trend being bullish. It's all in my favor, bro. I'm not trying to short a market with where this is going. I never buy at all-time highs, bro. I'm never the type of person to be investing into all-time highs. I always buy the oversold dips. I never, if anyone knows my investing style, I always show up into the fear. This year, I'm showing up at all-time highs, bro. I'm showing up at all-time fucking highs this year. I never do that, you know? But with the amount of profit that we make from everything that we're doing and with where the market's at, it's like I have to do it. I have to fucking do it, bro. It goes up another 30%. If it drops 30%, well, I got in before the 30% drop. So I'm good. It doesn't matter. But regardless, I'm still good. All I got to do is hold it. Like, this is a gold mine market, man. Like you guys need to understand, man. Times like these only come once in a lifetime, bro. Look at what happens with another president. The market doesn't do shit, With this other president, the market's fucking booming. It's crazy. Someone literally commented that the market was going sideways a long time. I'm like, dude, are these people delusional? Are these bots? Like, what the fuck are they on? Do they not see the trajectory of where the country is fucking going? Like, bro, look at this. This big green wick triggered a massive green year. This big green wick is triggering a massive green year. If that happens again, this is going to go so high in fucking price that people aren't going to believe it. And every big dip needs to get bought up. You know? It's fucking ridiculous. And then look, even if it drops, look. So let's say we're right here. Big green spike, big green spike. Next year, bullish breakout. Next year, bullish breakout. If that's where we're at, it literally bottomed, you know, towards the previous year's high. So the previous year's high is right here at 689. And if we go to VGT, that's at 93, So obviously $80 to $90 is a very superior entry. on that 100%. And then look at the year when it went green, red, green on the yearly. It went fucking crazy. Look at this, bro. All people had to do was use the green, red, green. Green, red, green, green, red, green. It went fucking crazy. Green, red, green. It went crazy. Again, these are not just visual patterns. You have to understand levels and where they're placed at. It's not just a visual thing of green, red, green means bullish. You know, you have to identify the opportunities with the levels. The same way how I just showed you how to identify that opportunity with the 4-hour chart on why that was such a genius trade. Um, but if you go to SPY, you know, bro, the green, red, green has never failed. And people don't see this. Green, red, green goes higher. 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 Green, red, green. One of the worst years in the market, 2022. When you hit that green year, green, red, green, previous year highs, support, bro, fucking parabolic. Oh my goodness, man. How could I not invest at all-time highs? My risk is fucking, there is no risk. It keeps on going higher. I can just add more. If it goes up another 30 to 40%, I'm going to miss out on that. And then if it drops 40% from that, it's right back at my entry. The fuck? I might as well just get in. You see what I'm saying? It makes more sense to just buy it now, especially with all the confirmations and with who's in office, you know? Like, if anything, the market will probably drop a little bit when Trump leaves office, when he's no longer in office. It'll probably go down a little bit. We're taking this one step at a time, bro. But I look at SPY like it's $1,200, and I look at VGT like it's $180. So that's why I'm buying now, because I can see the price for the future. I really don't think it's going to have a big drop before then. If it happens, that would be great. But I'm not going to risk missing out on all these bullish confirmations. So that's where I'm at with that. And you know, I take this one step at a time, but I'm telling you, bro, this strategy we have, like guys, I have a very good investing strategy where basically you can buy ETFs like VGT and you hold them forever. And then when the market, you know, as you're holding these ETFs, you can buy certain stocks in certain sectors that are going to go up forever at the lows. Like I'm doing this right now. I'm doing this right now with Oracle, right? So, you know, I really don't mind buying ETFs at all-time highs, but when it comes to stocks, obviously if it's a certain one, I'll forever hold it. But what I like about stocks is this, you know, I like stocks that are designed to hit new all-time highs that could be a forever hold, or stocks that are perceived to be a forever hold. And I like buying them on their big dips. You know, it feels a lot safer to buy them into the fear versus buying them at all-time highs compared to buying an ETF at all-time highs. I'd rather buy the ETFs at the all-time highs and then just buy the stocks on the big dip, because usually in every sector there's one that's a forever hold where a lot of the other ones have recovered and then another one is extremely oversold. So it makes sense to go with the oversold one. But there are certain stocks where it makes sense to go up at all-time highs, but realistically, bro, um it's gonna be it's gonna be hard to beat VGT long term, to beat these ETFs long term as an investor. I think traders can easily beat it. That's why trading exists, and that's why I love trading. But I do have different views on investing. I really do believe, you know, I think when it comes to trading, if people know how to trade, they can beat it. But when it comes to an investing and they know how to invest, I would say that they are better off with the trading and focusing more on the index funds. It's like, bro, it's extremely hard to beat these index funds long term when it comes to investing. I think if people figure out trading, they can easily beat them. But if we were to compare investing, picking your own stocks versus swing trading, I mean picking your own stocks investing versus just buying ETFs, I would say when it comes to the investing world that the ETFs seem like the smarter move. You know, they really do. Trading exists for a reason. If you guys want to beat the market, trade. But this whole idea of beating the market as an investor, I don't think that's where it's at. I don't think that's the best thing to be I mean, it's a hell of a lot better to strive for, you know, we'll beat this day trading, and then we'll buy ETFs to invest in. And then certain stocks, like I said, when it comes to stocks, if I'm investing into a company, I like the idea of I'm holding forever. So if I'm holding forever, buy the dips. If it's an ETF and I'm holding forever, I don't mind buying at higher prices. I really don't. But if it's stocks, I do mind that a little bit more, because a stock is perceived to be a lot riskier, but also just to beat the returns on VTF, it seems insane. That's why I'm not the biggest of buying stocks for the long term as of now. I see the opportunity with swing trading and even doing like a long term trade, but if someone were to hold something forever, I think it's going to be very hard to beat an index fund. That's why I like the idea of beating the market with, day trading, swing trading, some long-term trades. But when it comes to investing, I don't think that's one of the things to like beat. I view it more as just put your money into the ETFs. I think if someone picks 8 to 15 to 20 stocks and makes their own ETF, the ETF is more likely to do better than theirs. They're going to have to buy the stocks, hold the stocks, add to the stocks, sell the stocks, buy new stocks. These ETFs rebalance everything. Some of the biggest funds in the world, they're not outperforming this. And also, they're literally copying this. They're just doing some little tweaks. They remove a couple stocks, they add a couple stocks, they change the weight, but they're very similar and they're still not beating this. And the ones who are doing completely different things, they're not beating things like these. So that's just where my current beliefs are with investing. I really think when it comes to investing into the market that it's extremely hard to beat the market when it comes to investing. But if someone's trading, if they know how to do it, I think they can easily beat it. But obviously, traders aren't gonna, scale their accounts to infinity. They're gonna put their money somewhere, right? And that's why they start businesses, invest into businesses. But some of them buy stocks. They buy stocks, they buy ETFs. Like I said, I'm buying ETFs and stocks. Um, I'll make certain long-term trades where I just hold a stock and sell it. Those are genius, but I look at that as trading, not as investing. If I hold a stock for a year and sell it, I don't look at that as investing. I look at that as a long-term trade. When it comes to forever holds, I think it's very wise to focus on the index funds, not on the stocks. If you're going to focus on a stock, what I will say is this: find a company that you're going to hold forever and just wait for it to fall off a cliff. We can all find 10, 20, 30, 40 amazing companies that are likely going to go up forever in all these ETFs, right? Wait for one out of the 40. This is going to happen all the time. It happens every couple years. Something like this happens, right? So, for example, META. Just because META went from fucking 400 to fucking 90 doesn't mean all the other ones that followed or all the other forever holds that you like did that, right? Same thing with like Oracle, right? Oracle was just at almost 400. Now it's in the hundreds, right? Very hard to find companies like this that are projected to do a lot better. Very hard to find situations like that in today's market. So what I'm telling you is, when it comes to investing into stocks, I like when one out of the 40 just flies off a cliff. And then I look at it as like I'm buying that out. That's how I look at that. I feel a lot more comfortable investing into ETFs at all-time highs rather than stocks, 100%. With stocks, I like the idea of, I'll miss out on a bunch of them, but the ETF will cover that. And then if the stock collapses, I can then buy that one stock and the other 20 didn't collapse. So out of all these sectors you guys like the tech, the AI, all these sectors, things like this happen. What was it, UNH? Yeah, so guys, things like this happen all the time. UNH. When the fuck does UNH drop 60 fucking percent? You know what I mean? So what I'm telling you is, the way I look at investing into stocks is, yeah, there's certain stocks you could buy at all-time highs if you want to hold forever, but bro, you could have just bought the ETFs too, right? So if people like the idea of investing into stocks, I would tell them to really focus on, those rare situations where, for whatever reason, out of the blue moon, all of the other ones are going up, but then you have a rare situation where it just drops 50%. I would tell them to focus on those types of plays. Find a stock that's going to go up forever, and then out of the 40, wait for one of them to drop like 40% plus. And there's not a lot. So, you know, there's not a lot. because everything in this market just keeps going higher, bro. That's why. But Oracle, it's one of them. It seems to be. I mean, some people say this isn't a forever hold, right? I mean, at the very least, I would say this is a long-term trade that should bank 100%. But it could turn into a forever hold. I mean, some people view it as a forever hold. Some people don't, right? Um, Obviously with the best of companies, they're not just going to drop that much, but sometimes they do. So if you consider that a forever hold, I would definitely go with that one, right? But even for a long-term trade, that looks good. But when you have a company like META that goes from 400 to 90, basically, man, every couple years you're going to see one of these good ones, they're going to drop 40 to 50%. That's a really good time to start really considering that. Um but I will say it just feels a little bit bizarre to just buy 6 to 12 stocks for the long term and try to beat VGT, where even if I beat the market, it's still going to be similar performance. It seems a lot less riskier to go with something that has hundreds of stocks, sized in on a very small group, right? It's just, to me, buying and holding stocks forever makes a lot more sense if there's a rare one that drops like 50%. And then you look at it as like, so envision this, right? This is one way how I like to look at stocks, right? Envision it like this: you save some money for this idea that I'm talking about, right? Um, you save some money aside, you don't do anything with it. If you want, you could put it into an index fund, and then when it's time to buy that stock, you can sell a portion of that index fund that likely went up, right? Like now, it would be a smart time to do that. Um, you know, and you could sell some of those shares in the index fund, and then you can move that instead of just saving your money, you could put it into an index fund. It goes up 20, 30, 40%. And then when there's an opportunity for a stock, you sell some of the shares, right, that you would have saved for this opportunity for the stock. And then you put it into that stock. And basically, those prices you will likely never see again if it's a forever hold, you know? And they just keep on going up long term. You got to look for rare opportunities within the market. One of the rare opportunities within the market, I think, is to buy at all-time highs. I think we're in that type of market where it's a rare opportunity where buying at the all-time highs makes sense if you're willing to hold it. So there's so many different strategies you can do with investing, but to sit here and say, if I were to invest into 6 to 15 stocks and go up against VGT, I just think that's one of those things that isn't very wise to try to beat. It doesn't seem very wise to try to beat. I could see if someone was making trades, but from an investing standpoint, I just don't see it. But some people, how they make their money is different. Some people, they just want to buy a stock, they want to own a company. So if it drops a fuck ton, buy a fuck ton of shares, own it for life, and then sell some of those shares if you want to sell. And then when it dips again, just buy more shares and keep on accumulating more and more, keep on rinsing it and hold forever. That's literally what I'm going to do with VGT. But with this, I'm not really planning to sell. My intent really isn't to sell. I don't want to miss out on any sort of gains with something like this that I perceive to be as safe. So that's just where I'm at with that, man. Investing, it's an interesting concept. It really is. But if you guys crunch the math and did the numbers, it seems nearly impossible to beat ETFs that are going up 20% on average every single year. It's like, I don't know, like, bro, how, like, it's insane. Look at this, went up, I think, 38% this year. Like, this is fucking 80 to 100, and that's fucking disgusting. Like, it's hard to find something that goes up that much and just keeps on going up higher. And with this, you have a lot more stocks. With the other ones, you got to pick like the 10 stocks to beat this, and they got to go up for fucking up. You know what I mean? And the buys, the holds, the sells, like, it's fucking insane, man. It's fucking investing is insane. That's a whole completely different like ball game when it comes to buying, holding, selling. Like a lot of the times people are gonna sell, they're gonna regret that unless they actually designed it to where they're gonna sell. But bro, this shit just keeps on. Like look at META. When you get these once in a lifetime opportunities, like META going to fucking, like, when is some shit like that ever gonna happen again? You know? So what I'm telling, so guys, instead of waiting for this whole idea of the whole world's gonna collapse, COVID, everything's gonna go drop 50%, just wait for one of them to do that. You know? Like, just wait for one of them to drop a fuck ton and then buy that one, and in the buy index funds too. Everyone should be buying index funds 100%. I'd rather have all my money. I'd rather have my money in an index fund than a savings account. You know, if I had no intent to use that money in a savings account, like a high yield 3 to 4%, I'd rather have it in an index fund because I could just put the money in an index fund. It usually goes higher every couple years, 3 to 5 years. It usually goes higher. So it's gonna make a fuck ton more than the fucking savings account. And if I ever needed the money, I could just sell the shares, But the way I size in a way where I never need the money. That's something that I like. I don't want to be in a position where I'm invested and I need that money. You know what I mean? I don't want to. When I invest into something, I situate it to where I can hold it to zero. I don't want losses, and I don't want to put myself in a situation where I have to sell something because I need a piece of paper. If that were the case, I would have never invested into it. You see what I'm saying? Like I would never want to put myself in a situation where something has to work to some sort of degree where I have to close my investment because I need it, because I need the cash. See what I'm saying? I would never want to put myself in a situation like that. That's how people panic sell. And they shouldn't be investing in the first place if they need the money, because at some point they're gonna sell it. Um, and a lot of people are gonna sell when it drops versus when it goes up. So, if it goes up, they're going to be like, oh, I'm just going to hold it. And then if something happens and it drops and then they need the money, they're going to panic sell. So I size my investments to zero, you know? If VGT goes to $1, I wouldn't sell it. I would just hold it and say, well, if history repeats, it's going to get new all-time highs. And then if I want to buy it out, I'll just buy more shares. Like, fuck it. But yeah, guys, this is amazing, bro. This is amazing, man. If you guys held runners, you're green as fuck. Like I said, dude, I held my runners. Our profit target hit. So guys, look, there's a profit target here, and there's a profit target here. You got one more dollar. One more dollar of upside, bro. One more dollar. You know the risk of that. So let's take a look. So yeah, bro, fuck it. I think I'm gonna sell it all here. Let's see. Oh man, that was bullish as fuck. Man, this bull market is just too superior, bro. Oh my gosh, bro. Dude, the first thing I did when I woke up this morning was buy VGT. And then I saw the market crashed and I bought SPY calls. And now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna buy more fucking V. Fuck it, bro. Just buy more fucking. Dude, if it's gonna, like, guys, to get rich in investing, you have to put in money. If something's only gonna go up 100%, you got to put in a lot of money. So instead of putting a lot of money into all these stocks at all-time highs, bro, I'm putting into ETFs. The fuck? Like, fucking, if it drops 50%, I'll buy more. Fuck. It's not gonna happen, bro. If it does, I'll be grateful. If I'm buying at all-time highs, I'm grateful if it drops. That's how I see it. You know? Like, for me to buy all-time highs, that's crazy. I never do that. But we're obviously in a different world. It requires people to buy at all-time highs. I'm sitting here saying, bro, if I leave this in a high yield, what am I'm gonna miss out on another fucking, I'm not missing out on more. Fuck that. Fuck, I'm not missing out. The more money I make, I could just buy more of this. And then I could sell shares and put it into something else. You know? I could size in extremely heavy on this, sell some, buy oversold stocks when they collapse. Or sell some or buy more of this when it collapses. Or I could just hold it forever. There's so many things investors can do. But obviously this is the type where you just hold. When you see a VGT, the best course of action is to hold 100%. You know, every once in a while, you got that one guy, he buys it at 8, it drops to 3, he panic sells, and then it goes to fucking 123. You know, it's like, bro, the same people laughing at that guy, if he would have just held it, he would have made more money than everyone else, you know, buying at a higher price. It's like, bro, this is perceived as a good deal, whether it drops or not. I already told him the lowest I can see this going to is like 80 bucks. You know, I don't think it's gonna happen. It could happen like in 1 to 2 years, it's possible, but now I don't think it's gonna happen now, bro. This shit, the trajectory this shit's on, it looks like everything wants a bullish closing year. Um, and Trump still has plenty of time left, you know, for his term. Everything is confirmed bullish. I'm doing the same thing I'm doing with my day trading. I'm doing it with investing, and it works fucking amazing. I'm doing the same thing I do with my trading. It's the same fucking thing. You know, I'm investing into a tech sector. It's similar to SPY. It's not exactly like SPY, but I'm doing a very similar thing. I'm looking at all the long-term patterns. I'm seeing who's in office. I'm seeing how everything's a good deal, even though it's at all-time highs. Like, you know, this shit is ridiculous. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, you see, like that's what I'm saying. Like, bro, look, if someone, like, you see what I'm saying? I can't risk missing out on situations like this. Like, if someone bought at all-time highs here, all-time highs here, all-time highs here, bro, it never came back down. The difference is fucking insane. I will take that risk and have it drop 50%. You know, I'll risk being right. And if I'm wrong, drops whatever the fuck, I'll just hold it, bro. It's worth the risk. Look at this. Like, dude, VGT, this was at $8, 8 to 14. It never went back down in between 8 to 14. That is such a massive difference. If you guys look at where the world is going, the way the world is going is assets are just going to keep on going higher and higher and higher. Who owns all the assets? These companies. All these fucking companies and these fucking ETFs have all the assets. Most people can't even afford to buy a fucking asset. The masses are going to be fucking forced to buy this. For reals. What the fuck else are they going to buy? If someone wants to invest their money, what are they going to buy? They're left with Pokemon cards. For real. What are people going to buy? What asset could someone own that's not going to get higher and you know what I mean? What the fuck are people going to buy? This it's going to come down to stocks and cards and collectibles are going to be the only thing left. What other asset could people buy that's not going to be too high for them not, you know what I mean? That's why I'm saying people are going to be forced to buy this. They're going to say, "Bro, my fucking savings, my fucking high yield is only paying me 3%. This is going up 20% a fucking year." And in their high yield, if they stick with that, they can't even afford assets. How is someone gonna buy an? It's like, bro, literally the way to buy more assets is to buy this stuff. That's literally the fucking way. Like if people want to buy high fucking assets, you have to buy this. You have to buy things like this. You know, collectibles. Look at bro, people say Pokemon's up over 3,000%. They say it's beating the stock market, right? I'm not, that's great, but I know the stock market. I don't know Pokemon. You know, if it's beating the stock market, that's great. Good for them. But do I know Pokemon like I know stocks? No. So if I stick with that, you know, thesis, obviously I would make less returns, right? But stocks are fucking stocks, bro. This is what I know. I stick to what I know. Obviously, I can hire someone in that field or do some shit. You know what I mean? But I'm sticking with stocks. This shit is fucking, it's amazing. But collectibles are a very smart investment. I do have some investments into some cards. That's one of the things that I did make some investments into is to certain cards. Um, you know, but bro, it's just it makes so much sense because people need assets to get richer, and they're not going to be able to afford most assets. And even the assets that they can afford are just going to keep on going up higher. So everyone's going to buy things like this. Like for real, what else can people buy that's perceived as an asset that can go a lot higher, right? There's collectibles, there's sports cards, there's fucking Pokemon cards, there's fucking stocks, there's fucking ETFs. Like, bro, there's not a lot of things out there that people can actually afford. So all the masses are gonna buy this shit up and it's gonna inflate the fucking prices like fucking crazy. And then all the rich people are gonna buy it up too. Everyone's gonna fucking win, bro. That's how I see it, man. That's how I see it. You know? There might be someone who wants to invest into a certain card that's at 500K and they know it's going to go to a million, but they can't because they don't have 500K. So they look at the cards that are at like $100.
You know, there might be someone who wants to buy a certain watch at 50,000, but they can't do it because they don't have 50K. And then it goes to 250K. You know, there's levels to the asset game. There's levels to it. Even the rich are buying all these stocks and index funds. They're doing it too. It's a different system. This is fucking genius. All of the people are gonna buy this. What else are they gonna buy? If they don't buy this, they're gonna have to become an expert in sports cards. You know, I'm thinking about all the things that they could buy that's perceived as something that can go up more, that's here to stay, that's an asset class. And I'm saying there's not a lot of options, you know? I mean, a lot of people rave about sports cards too. It's like, bro, if you sell that on eBay, they take like 15% over there. That's fucking crazy. You know, yeah, it goes up a lot, but a 15% fee, the fee on VGT is only 0.09% annually. It's a very small fee. IGM is 0.37%. Um, but yeah, bro, this shit is crazy, man. You know, I think of the future and oh, wait, guys, I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna sell it all here, bro. Wait, should I sell it all here? Let's see. Wait, let's see. Bro, it should go a little bit higher, but fuck it. I'm gonna sell it all here. All right, let me get out of this, bro. Selling runners here. Let's see. Spy, fucking. Oh my goodness, bro. All right, so guys, I'm out here. Oh my gosh, bro. Fuck. That was definitely fucking worth. It was worth it in this situation to fucking. I mean, the 4 hour chart made it worth it too. Oh my goodness. Fucking insane, bro. Dude, our fucking calls are 230 fucking cent. I just sold 20. I'm completely out, guys. I'm completely out, bro. Fucking insane, bro. Fucking ridiculous. 100 to 230 cents. We just made a 130% return on a trade that wasn't even out of the money. Dude, our trades, some of these trades are making more money than the out of money trades. That's why I'm saying not every trade is meant to be out of the money. If you're looking for the biggest gains, it's not. The same way how not every single day is meant to trade out of the money. You know, it's a system that works. Long term, it works, right? But I'm saying if you guys wanted to be like precise of like the best move every day, sometimes far out of the money trades make bigger gains than, you know, trades that aren't out of the money. Sometimes far out of the money trades make the biggest gains. Sometimes at the money trades make the biggest gains, you know? You can get very systematical and create a system where you're trying to be right on what's the biggest gains instead of just doing far out of the money. But regardless, all the systems work, you know? I stick to the at the money system. I don't like going far out of the money. Like I stick to 1 point out of the money. Usually the most I'll do is 1 point out of the money. Um, when it comes to trading, you know, because I'm putting in size into these trades, and that's what I feel most comfortable sizing into, and that's just it just works best for me. Everyone has their different advantages, you know? Some people are better at certain things. But I stick to what works best for me, you know? And you can scale at the money. You can trade options like a stock where you can scale it. With far out of the money, you can't scale it, and not every single day is meant to be trade far out of the money. And some days at the money contracts generate bigger returns out of the money. But the point is, each system works. It just works in different ways. You know, people need to understand what they're placing themselves in for the result to work. But I'm completely out of the trade, bro. So we just made a 130% profit return buying a trade. This is crazy. It was in the money. Dude, we bought these calls in the money. I bought a 77630 call. You know, obviously, I likely would have made bigger gains if I went with 777, but I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go 60 cents out of money. I went, premiums were 30 cents in the money, 776 call. I got in at 104 cents. I sold the runners at 230. So that definitely balanced out the size that I didn't sell at the peak and I sold right here. It definitely balanced out that, you know? So on this particular trade, instead of selling it all at the peak, I sold the bulk of the peak, and then I sold a lot right here at 777, and then I left 20% to run. And that definitely supplemented that balance of, you know, selling some on the dip. It was worth the risk in that situation, right? But these are very rare trades. You're not there. This is a rare situation. So there, you guys saw I held a lot longer, you know? I'm using a systematical approach of holding longer at times, but it was 20% of my size. It wasn't full size. But I sold the bulk at the peaks. I definitely sold the bulk towards the peaks. This was a peak, and then this was a peak, right? I mean, if you're going by the price of the option contract, obviously that wasn't the peak. If you're going towards the SPY price, it was fairly close. But regardless, it's all amazing trades, bro. You guys got to figure out how you want to trade this, right? The way I did it was I sold the bulk at the peak, and then I sold the bulk here on the first drop. I didn't want to take the risk of holding that, and then I held 20%, and then I sold 20% at the exact peak, which really made up for that dip that I sold right there. Because that was big gains, bro. 100 to 130. But like I said, guys, I'm already sized in, dude. I don't need all this. You know what I mean? Like I'm sized the fuck in, bro. Like I'm sized in to do this. This is what I do. I get in, I get out, it turns against me, I get out more, it starts to go more against me. If I'm going to hold it, rest is runners, 10 to 20%. It's not going to affect, it definitely balanced out that sell right there, 100%. I mean, contracts went from 100 to 230. It definitely balanced that out. So, yeah, man, like I said, this was the type of trade where you don't even have to watch it. So for me, if I'm not going to watch that, that was runners. The bulk of it, I sold here, barely even fucking watching it. And then the runners, I just sold the peak. I'm completely out. So that's it. We did good. We did fucking amazing. We did absolutely fucking amazing, man. That's fucking it. Fucking killed that. I mean, the trade was designed to not even watch it in the first place because it was based off a 4-hour candle and all the other lower time frames were confirmed bullish. Um, so yeah, man. Everybody's green, everybody's winning, everybody's printing, 100%. Best stream on the planet, only stream on the planet that's going to get you richer and richer and richer. Because that's the point of this is to educate and to get people richer. Um, if the market's going to give a free double, it's very wise to go fucking heavy and to hold. What else are they going to do? They're going to risk all their money on the day trading. What about when it's time to make a smart investment and the market's going to double? What you're gonna full port your whole day trading accounts? Like you guys got to do something else with the money. You can't risk all the money you make with trading. Just can't. It's not. There's other ways to scale, but even with trading, it gets to a point where you can't just keep scaling as a trader. You gotta buy an asset at some point. Like I said, I got some cards, I got some VGT, I got some stocks, I have some assets. Um, those are the ones that I'm willing to speak about. Certain things are best kept private, but I speak about those because that's the ones that I think people should get involved with. Is that, they should look into collectibles, valuables. Um, they should look into ETFs, index funds, certain stocks that drop a lot, you know? But other things are just best to be kept private. There's just certain things I'm not willing to share with, you know, people who watch this. Like there's just certain things I'm not willing to share. It's for the best. For most people, they're gonna get involved with things like that. Day trading, swing trading, um, investing, invest into cards, invest into ETFs, into stocks. But guys, look, man, we crushed that, man. We crushed that trade. Best case scenario goes to 779. Um, there's still no reasons for puts. Um, but we crushed that, man. This is what we do, bro. I'm telling you. We're gonna make the game plans. We're gonna stick to the system. Roll the profit, scale the day trading accounts, roll the profits into the investments. So you guys need to understand, man, all these assets are going to keep going higher and higher and higher, right? So, this is why some people, bro, there's literally websites out there where if someone wants to own that $500,000 watch or that, $500,000 car or that fucking multi-million-dollar sports card, if they want to own a piece of that, they can invest into that. There's websites out there like that. Dude, fuck that shit. You guys got to own your shit. fuck a piece of the pie owned by someone fucking like fuck all that shit. This fucking there's cards and there's index funds, bro, and there's stocks. There's not a lot. If you guys have any brilliant ideas, you can let me know, man. But for most people, I think they should look into things like that. You know, like some sort of card sector. It could be Pokemon, it could be basketball, whatever they want to do, right? Like the same way. So like with cards, you can invest into any card you want to buy. Bro, this is so fucking bullish. Oh my god, this is so fucking bullish. But fucking, it's just the cards are similar to stocks in certain ways. Like, instead of me investing heavily into SPY, I'm going with VGT because it's double the gains. I don't look at that as double the risk. I look at that as if this sector is here to stay, it's likely going to go up more than SPY. I don't see what's going to change that. What's going to change in the world where SPY goes up more than this, right? So obviously, I'm giving up exposure, right? By buying this, I'm giving up exposure in terms of not being in other sectors, but that's only if I full port. I can buy other things to get more exposure of other things that I believe in for the future, right? But bro, when it comes to a heavy position, this makes a lot of sense. It's fucking VGT. Like VGT is it's untouchable. This shit, like look at that chart, bro. Like all someone had to do was just buy it. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that tech is the future, right? But like, this is tech, right? It's not fucking SPY. SPY is every it's not fucking the S&P 500. S&P 500 has every fucking thing in it, every fucking sector. So the point I'm making is like it's like with cards, right? With cards right now, there's people saying Pokemon is beating the market, and their Pokemon cards are going up 1, 2, 3,000%, right? So you can buy Pokemon, or you can look into basketball or look into baseball, right? And then you got to figure out, do you want to go with what's perceived as the index as an investment? What's the number one card that's going to keep on going higher? Or do you want to diversify multiple sectors, multiple card categories? Do you want to buy the old vintage cards, or do you want to buy the new cards? What players do you want to buy? What rookie cards do you want to buy? Like I said, bro, for a lot of people, the best thing is to go with the main in like the index funds, right? But if you see some rare opportunities and you want to do it, I mean, fuck it, like go for it. It's just if someone's intent is to beat this, it's gonna be hard to beat, bro. VGTs of like I said, bro, I'm looking at the price right now. The first thing my mind sees is $180. That's the first thing I see when I look at this stock. Same way how when I look at SPY, the first thing I see is $1,200, right? That's why I'm invested into all of these. So you guys got to figure out how you want to do it. Some people create buckets. There's people. Some people put like 70% into VGT, 30% into VOO, or some people. This is like an aggressive one. Um, 80, 90 VGT, and then 10 to 20 SMH. SMH. This one has. This is like the only one that's destroyed VGT, but it's perceived as more riskier because the sector is so dialed. It's just the semiconductors. And plus, VGT already has the semiconductors. So if someone wanted more exposure to the semiconductors, they would invest into this. I'm in on both, and I'm up nearly like 40%, 50, 40% more on this one right now. Like this one always, it doesn't mean that's going to last forever, right? But, I'm not just going to full port fucking VGT. I'm diversified, but if I were to full port one, it would be VGT. I would go VGT over VOO 100%. Like people gotta have balls to make money. This whole idea of 10% on fucking S&P 500, like fuck that. A high yield is at 4%. I'm not in this game to make 10 to 15%. If we're gonna invest our money, we gotta make gains. It's not like this is day trading, making these crazy fucking returns every day. This is fucking investing. So the way you make gains in investing is you got to put in a lot of money into the investments, and you got to hold this shit. So I'm putting my money into things that are perceived as safe, but they're going to go up a fuck ton. I mean, when it comes to safe, high rewarding gains, I would say it's hard to beat VGT. Like what I'm going to full port fucking Amazon and fucking Apple or something, you know what I mean? Like this when it comes to safe gains, I would say if someone's looking for the what is the safest thing I can buy that's going to go up the most? I would say VGT, 100%. SMH is higher risk, higher reward. Um, You know, VOO, all those other ones, and S&P 500, those are all great, but they're just not as big as gains, bro. If someone wanted to play it that safe, they can play it that safe, but some of us, we're comfortable with a specific sector and a certain bet on the future that tends to yield bigger gains. I'm comfortable with that risk, bro, because I'm in it for that. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's interesting to see how people perceive that. Like one wealthy person might say, you know, if someone has all the money in the world, why not just go with the safest one? And then another person might say, the most logical decision, like, fuck that, just go with this one. It's going to go up more. Yeah, it can drop more, but this one, you know what I mean? It's interesting. That's the thing about money. Like, one person with money might say, this one's a lot safer and we already have money, so let's just go with this one. It's not going to achieve as big as returns, but we don't need those extra returns. I think some wealthy people look at it that way. But then there's the other side who's like, bro, this is an absolute no brainer, more gains, more money. I'll take a slightly bigger risk. And then some people would even look at it as like, it's riskier to not be in the one that's going to go up more. Both of them are going to drop. So you might as well go up with the one that's going to go up more. But they all have different levels of risk. But there's ways to make VGT less riskier. You can buy other stocks, right? If you're concerned about a certain risk, you can buy other ETFs, you can buy other stocks, but some people look at risk as a way is like, bro, this has always been the one. Like fuck it. Instead of trying to subsidize the risk or just some people would just rather do this. They just rather go with this one, right? Um there's levels to it, man. There's levels to it. There's levels to risk. Some people don't feel comfortable in just one specific sector, so they invest into multiple ones. But like I said, man, my largest position is in VGT, and I do own some of this. I mean, I just think in terms of the times that we're in right now, this is gonna make history. People are either gonna get wealthy or they're gonna stay broke. Um, but the cool thing is, even if people can't afford certain assets, they can still afford other assets. They can still buy other things. There's always going to be stocks that are cheap. There's always going to be new IPOs. So people can always get into the game, but the sooner you start, the better, because the good shit is just going to keep going higher and higher and higher. And then you're going to have to find some new good shit. Um, like I'm telling you, bro, there's just too many people in this world who are not buying VGT. Like, look at the difference. This looks so. If you compared the difference of just how they both looked, oh my gosh, bro. See, that's the difference. You guys can tell. SMH, oh my God, bro. You don't even have to look at the price. You can just look at the chart and you can visually tell that it's a fucking monster. SMH is a fucking monster. But I mean, VGT compared to all the other ones, that's a fucking monster too. Like, this is ridiculous, bro. Look at you guys can see the difference. You can see like, bro, look at this one clearly looks like a much bigger monster than this one. Like it's fucking but they're both so like, oh my gosh, dude. They're both so fucking like this is insane, bro. This is insane, People say this isn't going to go up forever. Well, what else are we going to buy? We're going to buy something that if someone has no money, they're gonna have to buy an asset class that costs less. I'd rather buy this. I mean? Instead of going like if I'm past that level, why would I want to dabble into that? I'd rather buy stuff like fucking this. Like if someone could buy the $50,000 sports car, why would they want the $100 sports car? Why would they want the $100 sports car? Like it's fucking dude, look at the difference though, in just how it looks. You can easily see that SMH, it clearly mogs the fucking VGT. SMH fucking oh my gosh. I think it went up 50% more. I think historically it went up 50% more. Like you guys can plug all this into AI. Like you can see on AI and do your research, but you can just visually tell the difference if someone invested into SMH compared to VGT of the absurdity of fucking gains.
But the cool thing about VGT is 38% of this ETF, literally one third plus, of this ETF has the semiconductors, which is one of the reasons why it went up so fucking much too. That's why some people they won't even buy SMH because they'll be like, VGT already has so much exposure to SMH unless they just wanted to create a more aggressive a bet and have some of this to inflate this higher too, or they wanted to have certain stocks that VGT doesn't have that SMH has, right? Because they all don't have the same semiconductor stocks. But it's interesting because IGM, this is basically the most identical ETF to VGT. They're both in the tech space, but IGM has a different, philosophy compared to VGT. VGT, this is like an informational tech sector. It focuses on more the OG traditional companies. Um, bro, what the fuck? Where the IGM? Why the fuck did that switch like that? Okay, there and how the fuck? Bro, this fucking oh my gosh. I need to like color code. This is not Thinkorswim. Anyways, this IGM, this one right here, you know, it's an expanded tech sector. So this one has a different philosophy on what tech is, and it owns certain big tech companies that this one doesn't have. Yet this one still outperformed it. It's fucking insane, bro. Like VGT is a fucking monster, and this one has a higher fee. This one's 0.37%. This one's only 0.09%, and this one historically has outperformed. You know, um the VGT has historically outperformed the IGM. Fucking this shit is insane, bro. This is why don't they wow, they don't do that? They don't have two symbols? Why don't they have a symbol over here that says the symbol over here? Why? That's so you have to click on it to change the symbol. They should have like multiple symbols. Do they not do that? Damn, that's fucked, bro. This is Thinkorswim is so fucking different in certain ways. That's crazy. There's two stocks. They don't have the symbol. There's just the fucking title, the information. Anyways, you know, um, so yeah, man, the market is it's amazing. It really is. It's the fucking future. You know, that's what I'm saying. The future, everything is gonna get higher and higher and higher. All people are gonna do is look for affordable assets. So you got stocks, and that's valuable to be owning a share of a company. That's perceived as valuable. And then you got sports cards. What else is there? Cards and stocks seems to be the some of the highest ROI assets that are actually affordable. You know? Like fucking I mean, there's people buying a $500,000 card instead of a $500,000 watch because they think the card is going to go up more than the watch. Shit is crazy. But yeah, man, this has been absolutely amazing, bro. 100%. Absolutely fucking amazing. My gosh, look at the fucking bro, fucking SPY, man. This shit is unfucking day trading, unfucking beatable, man. This look at this. Ridiculous. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna call it here, man. If you guys have any questions, you let me know, bro. Any questions at all, you guys let me know. These streams are making everyone fucking rich. Fucking. But yeah, man, this is absolutely insane, bro. I know it was brutal. I told them all. I told everyone, bro. Look, we got in right here. We didn't get in at the low of day, but when we got in, it was the fucking lows. We bought the low. Dude, I tried to tell him, bro. Did the same thing yesterday, bro. It's crazy. My stream yesterday, everyone was bitching, whining, complaining. I wasn't even aware of it. I had no fucking idea. I just turned on my stream and traded. That's what I do. I trade. I make my own trades. This is what the fuck I do. Like, I trade. I had no fucking. They're all bitching, whining, complaining. I'm like, about what? I bought calls at the low. Like, this is my stream. This is my own thing. Like the other company is a separate company. They both are amazing. You know, they both get different results in different ways, you know? Um, it's insane. I bought calls at the lows. I never seen so many people upset and crying. I was like, the fuck? I do it again today. Now what? Are they still like the fuck? What was the difference? I did the same course of action. People were happier today than yesterday. Doesn't make, you know, like, guys, this is my thing. Like, Trader Society is Trader Society. You know, Team Roar is Team Roar. They're two different companies. But Trader Society is the company that owns the Team Roar company. But I do my own thing. You know, I run my own. This is what I'm doing. Like, this is what I'm doing right now. Like I said, soon we'll start up a private group. And we'll take it private. Still doing it, whether it's private or not, it's still happening. Like, but we'll take it private soon, bro. It's one of the things that delayed it was I really don't I just don't like the landing page, bro. I don't like working on all this other shit, dude. Gotta sit here and create a landing page, a sales page, and all this. Like, bro, people are just gonna have to join. They're just gonna have to trust it and join. Cause I'm not gonna sit here and do all this other extra work. Like, I just want to trade, bro. Like, some people are not gonna join because the landing page doesn't look all nice. Like, I'm telling you guys, I got a lot going on, bro. I don't like working on certain things in this business. Like, I'm in the business, right? And I don't like doing certain things in the business. Like, I don't like sitting here and like designing web pages and writing up copy and making a sale. Like, I don't like doing that shit. I like trading. That's what I like to do, you know, but I'm in a business. So, you know, maybe some people won't join because the landing page doesn't look as nice. Like, I don't want to take the time and effort to go out and hire someone to do that. I just want to operate in the service because this is what I do. You know, I don't like to go out and trust people and to hire people to do all this other work and to pay them and manage all that. It's like I already have enough going on. Like, so people are just gonna trust it, dude. The only reason why I delayed it, well, one of the reasons was is just because I don't want to do all this extra fucking work of all this sales page. Like, if someone looked at my sales page and they looked at someone else's, they probably think the other person's is a lot better. So people are just gonna have to buy um based off of the, you know, of how I market this, which was part of the marketing, but I just don't care about that part of the marketing. They're just gonna have to buy. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna post the streams when they're over with. So when I'm done streaming, you know, people could see what I did after the fact, and then they could decide if it's worth it or not. You know, because this whole idea of a fancy landing page that takes a lot of time, work, and effort and costs, you know, all this money, bro. It's like I just don't give a fuck. I'm just being honest, like, with you guys. I really don't give a fuck. Like, I could hire someone and spend 5 to 10K and it will make me more money, but I really just don't give a shit about that right now. And that also requires me to get involved with people and to work with people, you know? And I just don't want to do that with that stuff. So guys, I'm just gonna throw something up soon. But in terms of the actual company, that's not gonna be thrown up, bro. This is all fucking well equipped, ready to go. The live stream's ready, the telegrams are everything's fucking ready. It's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna build out the best course, do the live streams 3 to 4 times a week, and game plans are gonna be every single day, updates in the telegram every single day. So the service is ready. I just gotta, you know, just throw up some fucking page. I don't like doing that because, you know, I'm amazing at what I do, so I like certain things to reflect like what I do. But, you know, this whole idea of hiring people and creating this like landing page and all this extra work, like, it's just something I don't want to do. Like, I'm just the type of person I like to show up knowing what I'm doing and doing what I'm the best at and just doing what I gotta do, you know? Like, that's what it's saying. Like, I don't like sitting on a stream when there's no trade. You know what I mean? Like, I like being on a stream when there's a trade, when I know there's a trade. You know, I don't like being on a stream when there's no trade, waiting for hours, explaining why I'm not doing anything. You know, I like doing things when they're moving, when there's a reason to do something, when things are moving. I don't like sitting in a chair and fucking thinking about what I'm gonna put on a sales page and, you know, designing the page. I fucking hate it. You know, that's why I love trading because I look at this shit, I snap my fingers, I make the trade, and that's it. You know, all this other shit, it requires like so much like work and effort that I don't like to do. You know, like if I create some badass sales page, I'm gonna have to sit there and think of what to say, how to organize it, all this work when I could just trade. You know what I mean? I just like to trade, bro. So people are just gonna have to look at that like it's a trading company. You know, I don't care to make some crazy fancy landing page. I don't even know how to do all that. Like it's not my skill set. It's not like I have the vision for it, but you know, I'm not gonna be the one who creates that. I'm gonna have to hire someone if they're gonna create that. So, like, guys, I got a lot of shit going on and just other things. So, I'm just gonna throw up a page. We'll get this started. It's not gonna look good. It's not gonna have the best copy. You know, it's not gonna be some genius sales thing that's gonna sell people. Who knows? Maybe that'll be the genius that gets people to buy. Who the fuck knows? But it's just gonna start out just some raw landing page, and I'm just gonna show up and do what I gotta do. You know, so we'll keep it old school. New systems old school, but we'll keep the landing page old school and we'll just get this shit up, you know? Um, like Team Roar, it's just a simple landing page. It's just mine's more educational. That's why I wanted to make it more like, fancy and stuff like that. But I just don't give a fuck right now. I'm just gonna have to launch this business, and then in the future, I'm just gonna have to hire someone to make it all fancy. It is what it is, you know? So launching with the best page, it looks like it's out the books. I just don't want to do it. Like fuck that. There's just too many other things to be doing. But yeah, man. I mean that's the advantage of money, you know? You don't have to do certain things you don't want to do, but it is a business, so the results may vary. But like I said, I'll post the game plans and when the streams are over, I'll show people what they missed out on and they can learn from that, right? And then if they want to join, they could join, you know? So it is what it is, man. Eventually I might not even show them the streams. They're just gonna have to join, you know? It is what it is. Not everyone's gonna join. Um, but yeah, man, there's literally nothing to be doing. Spy can have a last minute YOLO call. So yeah, and just so you guys know, Team Roar has been doing amazing. Yesterday it was a red day, and then today it was massive wins. So the wins were bigger than the red, right? In terms of yesterday, I had a green day because I bought calls after all that. And some people didn't. It is what it is. But Team Roar's still doing amazing. You know, yesterday was a red day, and today was a massive green day. They bought calls at open, and then after I bought calls, shortly after that, they made a trade on calls. Just like yesterday when I bought calls, and shortly they made a trade on calls, right? They're not following or copying. It's just it is what it is. Like, so yeah, everybody knows when it comes to calls, I'm usually the first one to get in, but I don't trade the market open. So I didn't buy at the market open. Everybody know I wait till the first 20, 30 minutes. But I decide when I want to turn on the stream, But when I do the Telegram, you guys are gonna get updates and stuff like that. But Team Roar had an amazing, they killed it. They made back for the red day, so if people didn't make up for the red day with my call trade yesterday, they made it back today with all the wins in Team Roar. They had wins um on the trades. So every system works, they just work differently. And everybody knows these are long-term systems, you know? These are long-term systems. So they're designed to stay forever. If Team Roar has a red day, the next day is green. It's designed for you to stay for fucking ever. Like, doesn't mean we're gonna agree on everything we do for the day. Results could vary, but we're both profitable and we're both green doing what we're doing. There's obviously some differences in how we do and what we do. Like, but calls at market open, there was calls at market open for 57 cents, and that went up 300%. So that trade instantly wipes out all the losses from yesterday. And then I got in a trade on calls that was on the stream. And then, after that, there was a trade on calls that was 100% inside of Team Roar. So collectively, that's 3 massive wins on the day. And yesterday, there was Team Roar had 2 Ls, I had 1 big W. So there's no way anyone could be red. It's impossible. I don't see how anyone could be red,
If someone was red yesterday, well, they should be green today. Roars up over 400%. My trade, I sold for 50%, and then I sold runners for 130%. And then yesterday I was green, so I don't see how anyone could be red, you know? So there was a red day in Roar yesterday, but the wins are much bigger than the red days, and there's rarely any red days, you know? A 1 month green streak, of course there's going to be a red day at some point. All you had to do was manage your risk. It's not that hard. And plus, I showed up and I gave them calls. So we gave them an opportunity to still be green, you know? But they don't even need that. If they stick with either my system or their system, they're going to be green either way. But obviously, mine's more focused on the education, and theirs is more focused on, just following the trades. So both the systems work, man. So, losing's a personal choice, bro. You know? It is what it is. So, yeah. So, guys, I'm gonna call this stream here, man. This was absolutely amazing, bro. Fucking killed it again. Roar's up over 400%. They fucking killed it. Yesterday the trades were 200% L. Today they were 400% wins with the exit alerts. So if you do the math, Roar's green as fuck. I was green yesterday. I was green today. So everybody's fucking green, dude. You know, whether someone's red, they're still green. You know, the wins are bigger than the L's. So red days clearly don't matter. Just look at what happened in Roar. They had a red day and the win was twice as big. So what's the excuse now? And then I showed up and I gave them a win too that could have flipped them from red to green on the day. So even if they didn't flip red to green, it's like, bro, everything works. There's no excuses. Um so yeah, man. Um what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? I mean, we shall see, bro. I guess I'm going to have to post a game plan. I just know the market's going to try to close bullish this week. And the best thing we could do is buy oversold dips on break and retest levels. I know that's the best thing to do, but I get it. SPY has, started new all-time highs. There's new levels. So yeah, maybe I'll post a game plan tonight. I gotta see, bro. I gotta see, man. I didn't post anything yesterday because I was fucking exhausted and I went out. Like, I did so much shit yesterday, And then someone's gonna bitch and whine and complain that I didn't post because there was a red day. I'm like, well, I was green. Well, Roar's green today. The win was bigger than the red. We're not hiding shit. I can go on the video today. I can say, guys, there was a red day in Roar yesterday, but look, they made it all back and more. It's a long-term system. Like, if you expect to be green every single day, I think it's possible for what I'm gonna do, but if someone's just gonna go far the money, dude, I don't see it. If someone goes far the money every single day, I don't see how they're gonna be green every single day because the market isn't designed to trade far the money every single day. So it seems like it's gonna be very hard to be green every single day. But there's rarely any red days regardless, and the wins are bigger than the L's. So it works. It's just things work in different ways. I mean, with the shit I'm doing, since I'm not going far out of the money, I don't see there to be a reason for me to be red. So my goal is to never be fucking red. That's my goal. I don't want any fucking red days, because if I'm not going far out of the money, I could trade options very similar to how someone trades a stock, even though there's still decay in the Greeks. I could trade it fairly similar. So there's no excuse for me to be red, 100%. But to sit here and say far out of the money every day and to try to identify a day where it's not meant to be traded far out of the money, even doing that, sometimes they're going to miss out, sometimes they're going to be right. So it's like the way I look at far out of the money options is it's just one of those things where it creates something where someone can't scale to infinity. And it also creates something where I don't see how someone's going to be green every single day. I think they could be green every single week. I think they could be green every single month. But every single day, it just seems like one of those things in the market where it's not going to give it to them every single day. So they would have to selectively choose not to trade those days. And then some days they would be right for not trading those days. And then other days they would be wrong for not trading those days. So even if they were selective, they still run into the same problem. And they don't scale to infinity for a reason, right? So, like, I don't look at far out of the money options as I'm going to be green every single day. I don't think it's possible. I think someone can get very good at being green every single day, but look, when it comes to green every single day, I don't see it with far out of the money. I don't think it's possible. I really don't, because the market isn't designed to work that way every single day. So someone would have to purposely sit out, not make a trade, right? You know, and even if they do that, they're gonna miss sometimes, and sometimes right. So it just, the far out of the money creates something where traders could have a red day. That's the only thing about it that I dislike, is they could potentially have a red day. But it's a long-term system that does work. You have to manage your risk. But like I said, guys, the system that I'm creating, I'm aiming for a green every single day. And one thing I could say about, people who trade far out of the money, it's like, if it appears to be a slower day, if you're gonna trade, why not go closer to in the money on that day? I would make that argument instead of just going far out of the money all the fucking time and aiming for the biggest of percentage gains. It's like sometimes the trades that are at the money are going to be bigger gains than the trades that are out of the money. So, what I would say is, instead of like not trying to trade on the days where it's not time to trade far out of the money, I would say maybe consider going like a little bit less out of the money. That's the one thing that I would say about a far out of the money system, is that if they wanted to be green every single day, I would say they would have to be required to, on certain days, consider not going as far out of the money. But then that can throw them off on their far out of the money system? So, like I said, man, I'm speaking in very selective terms to be green every single day, because it is possible. But if you trade far of the money, it's the hardest thing to do, and I don't look at it as possible, because it creates something in the market where it requires the price action to do a specific thing that's not going to happen every day. It's simply not. So if you trade that every day, you'll have a red day. But with this company that I'm going to start, you know, the goal is to be green every single day. Worst case scenario, we're green every single week. But the goal and intent is to be green every single day, and it's to educate people on how to actually do it. That's the goal. The only thing I could say about far the money, like I said, like, I don't think it's possible to be green every day with far the money, but I do think it's possible to be a little bit more selective, where there could be less red days if, price is slow. If you're gonna make a trade, instead of going far the money, maybe go closer to in the money. But regardless, the system works either way, you know? Both of the companies work, both of the systems work. That's just the one thing that I see that could potentially be improved on, is that. But at the end of the day, big wins work and the system works. But my top priority with my group is education and green every single day. I'm gonna start a company where the pure intent is to be green every single day. It's not like I'm trading far out of the money. It's like I don't have a there's no reason for me to be red. If someone goes far out of the money, there's genuinely a reason for them to have a red day, 100%. But I don't think it's justified with me, because I'm not going extremely far out of the money. If I go 1 point out of the money or out the money, if I trade options a similar way to trading stocks and make much bigger gains with the options than the stocks because of the percentage gains and the cheap contract prices, I don't see that, and I scalp and manage the trade. I don't see the reason to be red. I really don't. I think there's certain systems in the world where it's nearly impossible to have a red day. Every once in a while it can happen, right? Maybe the market threw a full curveball, or maybe I just had a mentally off day, right? Things happen. But when it comes to no reasons to be red, I'm optimizing for a system where I'm gonna make it as nearly impossible for me not to be red, but with options, not with stocks. I will have some trades on stocks, and we're gonna have swing trades on futures, 100%. There's gonna be a lot of swing trades on futures. If you guys like the idea of index funds, you're gonna love the idea of swinging stocks that follow the market, and swinging fucking ES futures in bull markets, 100%. But I just want to make that very clear, bro, because there is something with far the monies where I do think it's impossible to be green every single day, because it's just simply because the market doesn't give the move every single day, and there's no way to like to be right all the time of when not to trade that. So all someone can do if they wanted to be green every single day, my belief is if they think it's going to be a slower day, just go closer to in the money, you know? And then sometimes they'll make less gains because they should have went far of the money. Sometimes they'll make more gains because they should have went in the money, right? But they can always size it too. They can always size it a little bit bigger on the in the money trade, right? So there's a lot of angles to look at a system on how it can be better or improved. Um, you know, but it works regardless and it's amazing regardless, you know? And sometimes improving something can make it worse. That's another thing, you know? Like I just like see, I'm not trying to go far. For me personally, if I tried to go far in the money, I don't think it would help me at all. I think it would make me worse, you know? So I just do what I do best. And Teamwork does what they do best. And we both do our own things and they both work, you know? But education is a requirement if people want to, be able to do it on their own. Like education is definitely a requirement if people really want to get a better understanding of things. Um, but yeah, guys, I'm gonna call it here. This has been an amazing day. Um, so everybody's green. Everybody's green, everybody's winning. And now you guys know, for those of you who are in Team Roar and you saw the red day, well, now you know, look, the system is green, and the wins were bigger than the L's. And also there was several winning days before the red day. So there's no I just, you know what I mean? Like people need to the one thing people need to get about far the money options is it's the hardest asset class to trade to be profitable in. It really is. To be profitable in far the monies, it's one of the hardest ways to be profitable. Um, and there is a limit to scale. You can't just scale to infinity with far the money options. It's not designed for that. But I don't think far the monies are just set up to go green every day. I just don't see it that way. If the market doesn't give a certain price action every day and someone trades every day, and even if they decide not to trade certain days, they're still going to run into days where they shouldn't be trading far the money that day. So I don't look at it as if someone trades far out of the money, they're going to be green every day. I think they could be green every single week, every single month, every single year. Um, but I just don't see being green every single day on far the monies. I just don't see it because they're not designed to be traded that way every single day. So if there was like a slight move to be made that could make it green every day, is if on the slow days they went closer in the money. But regardless, green every single week, it works. The system works regardless, Like it is what it is, man. But far out of the money certainly does not set people up to be green every single day. It just doesn't. The market doesn't give big enough moves. Um, that's not a problem though. As long as someone is profitable every single, as long as they're profitable, it's not an issue or a problem. But it is an interesting, observation of how that works. There's so many angles to look at it. But guys, I'm gonna call it here, man. This has been an amazing stream. The market's gonna close here. I'm gonna call it here, bro. Everyone should be green and making money. Everyone should be fucking printing like fucking crazy. Um, it's amazing. That's funny, bro. As soon as I said, I read a comment saying stop saying, this shit's fucking hilarious. And bought an ETF yesterday after seeing you trade. Bro, the fucking ETFs are a gold mine, man. This shit is absolutely amazing. ETFs are a gold mine. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna call it here. This has been absolutely amazing, man. We'll see you guys soon. We're gonna launch this company soon. The landing page is gonna be kind of, old school shitty, whatever the fuck. Maybe some people like that. I don't know. But bro, we're gonna get this up. We're gonna get this going. You know, we're gonna do this shit every fucking day almost, bro. All these people bitching, whining, complaining. Oh, you're not live every day, la di da di da. I don't have to be. Well, we're gonna start a company and people are gonna see. They're gonna see every day we have systems that work, man. It's like they're gonna see we got the Roar system, far the money trades.
and they're going to see we got this educational system designed to go green every single day, and designed to actually teach people how to trade, so they don't have to rely on the streams or rely on following other people's alerts. If someone learns how to trade from me, if they want to make more money on far other money options and trade alongside Timor, they can do that. If they don't have to, because they know how to fucking do it. Some people will, some people won't. It depends on the person, their goals, and what they want to do. Some people don't want to trade far the money. Some people want to trade out the money, or some people want to trade stocks. Some people want to invest. So we're gonna have everything, dude. It's gonna be the ultimate fucking academy that's gonna make people geniuses and create a ladder that's gonna create wealth. And it's gonna be a lot serious than the free streams. Free streams, look, it's still gonna be very hype in life at a party, but it's gonna be a lot more like taking the educational and the business side of things are gonna be taken a lot more seriously. Um, because it's going to be a private group and it's paid customers. It's not like a free stream where we just, make money, have fun, talk shit, a lot of, like this is free. Like, you know what I mean? It's different when it's private and when people pay for things. So, professional service is different from a free service. Obviously I could run a free service professionally, but bro, for me to be all professional and all that, it's like, dude, there's got to be some sort of pay. Otherwise, I'm just gonna go off the fucking rails and just have fun. Like, but nah, bro, it's gonna be the life of the party, and it's gonna be very hype and very fun. We're gonna educate in a fun way. It's not gonna be boring. We're gonna figure this shit out, and it's gonna be amazing, and it's gonna be private. So, like I said, it'll come soon, bro. And like I said, guys, I'm just being honest with you, bro. I want to do this. One of the things that delayed it was just this landing page, bro. I want to have a nice landing page, but I don't want to hire people and I don't want to make it myself. So I'm just gonna have to throw some shit up and get going, bro. The business will be pristine, but everything will be secured and pristine with the checkout and everything. But this whole idea of some fancy landing page with all this like designer stuff and fucking all the words and the marketing and all this, bro, I just don't care. Like, I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna get people rich, I'm gonna airdrop people money into their account every single day, and I'm gonna do it in the most educational way. I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna present the opportunity that I present is gonna be presented before we're even on the stream, right? We're gonna all have the game plan, videos. I can even do some live stream game plans. We're gonna all have the game plan. I'm gonna write it out, written in stone, and then we could post updates in the Telegram too. Um, and then we're gonna go live, and I'm gonna explain the opportunity again and explain the confirmations, and then we're gonna actually trade it. Not just giving you game plans on what to do, but we're gonna actually trade it on the stream. And the point is not just for you to trade it how I trade it. It's for you to see it for what it is and you decide what you want to do, and you can see how I do it and then you can see how you do it and figure out how you want to do things. The point is not to blindly copy, right? It's going to open you up to my system into your system because your system might be different from my system, which is completely fine. Everyone has different personalities, everyone has different skill sets. Like for me, I don't like going far out of the money. I just don't. It's something I don't like personally doing. Um, so everyone has different systems to make money. And some of you guys might look at the way I trade and you might think you can do something better, or you just might like a different preference that's not as good, but it works for you, right? So you can make your own systems while gaining access to my system. That's the whole idea, is to create self-sufficient independent traders who, if you want to take some gems from me, you can take the gems and put your own spin on it and make it your own thing. People can do that. Like, you can make your own system out of my system and also out of your own system. You can have your own system, look at my system, take a couple things, and then move it over to your system, make it better, right? So the point is not just for you to learn my system and to follow my system. It's for, some of you, if you want to create your own system, you can do that. That's the point. It's for you to really not just follow my system, but if you want to create your own, you can create your own because it's education. I'm going to show you everything as I'm doing. The same way how like, um when I started trading,
G-Roar is the one who told me to use profit stops. G-Roar said, bro, you should use profit stops and you know, consider holding the trades longer or sizing to zero, right? So I made some tweaks within my own system and made it better with that information, right? And then G-Roar learned certain things about charts from me, right? So like opening up the eyes visually to certain charts with videos and live streams. He learned the gap close reversal trading strategy, which was the same exact strategy that I literally used yesterday um to buy the calls at the exact lows, you know, which is pretty insane, but it's pretty insane how, you know, he wasn't in on that. Like, you know what I mean? But it is what it is, man. I mean, he's learned charts and patterns from me, and I learned basic mechanics of like, you know, profit stops and holding trades longer, right? And then, you know, whatever I learned from myself and what I learned from other people, I just optimize it for what I'm doing. I take the good, I leave the bad, right? If you guys find a gem, whether you find the gem on your own through yourself or you find it through someone else, you know, take the good, leave the bad, you know, like figure out how you want to make something better and what you want to implement in your style of trading, right? Because as traders, we all have different personalities and we're all better at certain things, right? Obviously, G-Roar, when it comes to far out of the money options, there's nobody better on this fucking planet than far out of the money options. One skill set that I have that it's gonna be very hard to find in other people is like, bro, I literally buy these calls at the lows. That one of the things I do best is I buy call options at the exact lows. I buy the calls first, and then usually people buy later. That's usually how it goes. Because I have a certain system that allows me to buy calls at very low prices. And if I wanted to, I can literally get in at the exact lows if I was aiming off price. Like today, if I didn't use the confirmation today, I could have just bought the low, right? But I decided to wait for confirmation, bought at a higher price. So, you know, sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I wait for confirmation, sometimes I say it's already confirmed, you know? Sometimes it keeps on dropping when it's, you know what I mean? It is what like I do, it's different things each day. I have to see what the chart is saying and what, you know, frequency and everything. But guys, I'm gonna leave it off at that, man. You guys have an amazing day. Everyone's green, everyone's killing it. Um, and yeah, man, we'll get the company up soon. We'll get everything going.